Has anyone ever told you that you have like a very specific form of autism? Has anyone ever said that to you?
Me?
Yeah, it's
No.
a beautiful thing. I know you meant that really well meaning, but what I heard is like, ugh.
A professional rugby player turned stand-up comic, host of the Painfully Mediocre podcast, and the guy who once thought throwing Jack Daniel bottles with $20 bills inside was a good idea.
It's just it's a weird dichotomy in me, which is where I, love my grandpa, don't like that he's racist. How do those two things meet, and what do I do? Because I'm not gonna change his mind. And to be honest with you, sometimes I get worried about that. I love my grandpa so much. If he were to die, I'd be really sad, and I'd be like, why did I ever start comedy? You've got this guy that's just standing up here looking down on you all the time, and you're just trying to, and every time you do something bad, you're looking up going, shit, he saw it again, And so that adds to that. But at the same time, like, I do want to be a good person.
Are you a good person?
I don't know. Why do you keep asking me that question? No, I definitely, I want to think that I'm a good person. I definitely have higher standards for myself than I'm able to attain.
I may call this the Iron Church, but that doesn't mean you got a brain in here, motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah. That's sick. I love that.
Howdy, y'all, and welcome to David's Saturday Night Sit Back, the podcast where we tell stories that will light your internal fire. Whether it's business, fitness, culture, or just figuring life out, my guests and I sit down, open up, and dive deep. Most of the people on the show have never told their story like this before, not on stage, not on YouTube, and definitely not on a podcast, so grab a drink. Take a breath, and let's sit back together, because tonight might just be the story that shifts something inside of you. Imagine this. You're a college student grinding through engineering classes, juggling internships, and somehow still finding time to play rugby, flip people upside down as a cheerleader, and crash sudoku puzzles between lectures. You're doing everything that looks right on paper, but something inside you keeps whispering that you were meant to say something louder. So you take that quiet, gnawing voice and you put it on stage. You trade equations for punchlines and blueprints for bits. And somewhere between the rugby pitch, the comedy club, and a Mexican restaurant server's apron, you find your rhythm. But you're still human. You still get scared of heights. You've still got a girlfriend who's a CrossFitter and stronger than you are. You've got some family quirks, old stories that make you laugh and cringe, and a grandpa who probably shouldn't have a microphone. Today's guest is the perfect mix of discipline, chaos, and humor. A professional rugby player turned stand-up comic, host of the Painfully Mediocre podcast, and the guy who once thought throwing Jack Daniel bottles with $20 bills inside was a good idea. He's been lighting up stages from Kill Tony to stand up live in Phoenix, and when he's not making crowds laugh, he's probably overthinking a chess move or solving Sudoku faster than you can spell it. Today, sitting back with me is Nick Hartley, engineer, athlete, comedian, and all-around proof that life gets a lot more interesting when you stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be real. Nick, thank you for who you are. Thank you for being here, and welcome to your episode on David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
Yeah, man. Thanks for reading my eulogy there. That was awesome. I couldn't have put that any better. Honestly, I would have put that a lot worse. It would have been way more negative, dude. But
It would have been way more.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm none of those things.
Yeah, definitely didn't deserve that, but I appreciate that kindness. That's pretty awesome.
I just love that between the music, the intro, I got multiple laughs out of you all. We are off to a great start.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about the music, but I was like, hell yeah. Like, I was feeling it. I was like, we're in this now, And dude, I feel like I'm on Miami Vice right now. This is awesome. Miami Vice, but in like the 1950s, where they're like doing cool stuff that's not okay,
Yes.
They're like, yeah, we abused our cop power. We did, and it was pretty sick. Yeah, that was. Do you know that when like in the 80s or 90s, they used to do all that, like, I'm the cop. I'm the cop that does the rules. And then I'm the cop that breaks the rules. And then in 2011, they were like, yeah, we don't do that anymore, because those shows got canceled, which was fun. But yeah, that was fun. That was a good opening.
Thanks, man.
I liked it.
Not to flex on you to kick things off, but I thought it would be good to tell you that you are sitting across from someone who has been ranked as the #1 Sudoku player on the planet.
You're shitting me. You want me to do a
And
Sudoku?
I have proof.
Oh my gosh. So I'm sitting in front of royalty right now. That's nice.
It's funny because
Yeah.
I told my workout buddy this once. I was like, dude, I climbed the ranks. I'm sitting at number 1. Like, I'll be knocked off within a day or
Yeah.
two. But I have officially held the title. And he just started laughing his
Yeah.
butt off. And he was like, you are such a nerd. You're such a nerd. Like, why are you telling, what? You're so happy. He's like, you only get lit up about one thing, the podcast. And now I'm seeing you light up about the second thing,
Which is
and
Sudoku.
it's that you're a Sudoku master.
Listen, no one appreciates that more than me because I'll be doing Sudoku and I'm going, how in the hell do people solve some of these things, you know? And now I'm meeting somebody, you could probably teach me a thing or two about it, you know? Because all I have to learn from is my grandmother, who's like, she doesn't remember any of the Sudoku she's doing. I usually finish them for her, you know, but she'll just be sitting there and she'll over Sudoku and I'll do that later. How about I'll do that later, you know.
Excuse me.
Yeah. But that's sick. I didn't know you did Sudoku. Did you tell me that on the phone when we called?
I only found out last night or this morning when I was wrapping up my notes for you, and I was like, oh, shoot. And by the way, we can curse. I'm holding myself back for about another 5 minutes for the sake of YouTube,
Okay.
which I'm sure you know, 10 minutes for 2
Gotcha.
minutes, no cursing. But I was watching your Kill Tony and you brought it up, or maybe I found it on your Instagram, but I found it somewhere and I was like, I've never met another Sudoku player except for my grandpa, rest in peace.
Yep.
But he's the one who turned me on to it. I was
Yep.
at their house once and he was playing one and he sort of taught me the basics. And dude, I've been obsessed. I've been
yeah.
playing Sudoku on and off for years.
No one loves Sudoku like old people, dude. To them, it's like
Thanks.
it's like crossword without having to speak. You know, that's what it is. They like because you can't when you do crossword. My grandma's always annoying my grandpa. Like I've got 3 letters for a feline animal. It's down. He goes, I don't need to know that it's down. You know. But also, he's like, if you thought a cat, and she goes, oh, cat, yeah, that's got to be it. You know. And so Grandpa will do Sudoku and Grandma will do Sudoku, and he's happy when she's doing it because then he's like, she's not asking me questions. You can't be like, hey, what goes here? He's like, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I never could get into crosswords. Maybe I'm bad with, well, I'm good with words because I think I'm decent at talking to people, but crosswords, dude, what a hell that is.
Yeah, I don't like that. I can't spell for shit or for shoot.
For sure.
Yeah, I forgot. We didn't know if we got through 5 minutes, but either way, yeah, I can't spell at all. So crosswords are a nightmare for me.
How do you feel about, I'm really going to, after I make this next comment, you're going to be like, how old is this guy? Do you like puzzles?
I love puzzles. Are you kidding me?
Oh, dude.
I was raised by old people.
Yeah.
I was raised by old people, man. So we play board games. We do puzzles, Sudoku. We watch Family Feud. Oh, let's see. We play croquet. That's an old person game. My grandpa made me my own croquet set. You know what croquet is?
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to do that all the time on like a slanted hill because we didn't have a flat piece of property, you know. So
Just makes it a little more challenging.
yeah, because you're like it's more like golf. You're like putting everything, you know. It's pretty great.
I noticed when you walked in, you gave that one wall, the wall over there, a quick glance. Did you happen to notice that every one of those pictures, except for the cow, is a puzzle?
I did notice that, and I thought it was pretty cool, you know, because my grandma's got she's got puzzles framed up above everywhere, you know, and honestly, I didn't know that was that was weird until I went to college and I went to a buddy's house and I was like, where are all the puzzles at? There ain't any puzzles around here, you know, not even like a barn or like a 2-piece puzzle, you know.
Yeah,
just a puzzle with a couple lines in it. It's 2 sides of a picture they put together.
yes, a puzzle.
Yeah.
This is a generous term.
Yeah.
When I moved here, when I moved to Austin, I didn't have any friends, and not in like a self-deprecating way. Just it's fact.
Yeah,
I went
that's
to a
how it
city where I
happens.
don't know anybody.
Right.
And so I was in Target, just buying like basic stuff, like because I came out here with the dog, so I did a Target run to get like toilet paper, soap, you know, stuff
Yeah.
that you need on a daily basis.
Arguably, but
And so I was walked through I was like cutting through the toy section and I saw a puzzle, and so I picked it up, had a ton of fun putting it together. So then I did like 7 and I was just stacking them all on the table over there. And then one day a friend came over for dinner and he was like, why don't you glue them together and put them in a
Yeah.
frame and hang them on the wall? And I was like, what? Who would do that? And he was like, well, what are they going to do? Just stack up on your
Yeah.
table? And so I went on Amazon, and sure enough, there's puzzle glue, bro.
oh yeah, for sure. It's a specific type of glue that doesn't run that much, so it's beautiful. Yeah. And it doesn't come, you don't want it to come up through the cracks either. I remember my grandma getting really mad gluing some of her puzzles together, and she's like, it's coming up through the cracks. I'm like, that's because you're using wood glue. You know?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. What are we doing here, Grandma?
I mean, I could see myself being silly enough to try like Elmer's glue, but
Yeah.
wood glue?
Wood glue, yeah.
I mean, that's not that far off because they probably are made of a wood like.
Well, yeah, it's more consistency than anything, I would think, because you don't, you just don't want it to rise up, and then you smudge it on the thing. And it's talking with my hands a lot, but
That's good. I do that too. That's why. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta strap down.
Yeah.
Strap
I've been
down.
seeing not to out myself as a nuts person, but I've been seeing a counselor for a couple weeks now, and he has this bowl full of fidget spinners on his table. And on my last session, I picked one up, and I sort of liked having it, especially when you're talking about stuff that stresses you out and keeps you up at night. I'm in love with that fidget spinner. And at the end of the session, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna be in a different office next time," and I was like, are the fidget spinners going to be there?
Don't do that to me. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Has anyone ever told you that you have like a very specific form of autism? Has anyone ever said that to you?
Me?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But I'm looking at the puzzles. I'm looking at the fidget spinner thing. I see the happy-go-lucky smile you got on your face, and I'm like, yeah, fella's got it a little bit, and that's cool. I like that. I work with autistic kids, is why I say that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're good at identifying this.
I'm better now, but maybe I just, it's cognitive dissonance or whatever, but I know all of my friends now. I'll walk up to them. I have this friend who walks on his tippy toes, and I never noticed it, and I started working with autistic kids. And I was like, dude, all of our kids do that? And he goes, yeah. I was like, you know what they else do? They all have like this weird kind of like thing. It's like stimming right here. He goes, oh yeah, when I was a kid I used to just do this all the time and I liked it. It's fun, but that's all it was to me, was just fun just to do this. And I was like, brother, you got it. But that's cool. I'm a big fan of the autism. I think it's a better thing than being neurotypical. And that's
No, keep going.
I just think it's a better thing than being neurotypical because they're usually happier people a lot of times.
What is neurotypical?
Neurotypical, I guess, is like you don't have a mental thing. Like, they're really the only two I can think of is like Down syndrome and autism. But like, so most people aren't that autistic, but it's a spectrum. It's sliding, obviously. But every once in a while you'll see somebody who just likes putting things together and seeing how things come apart and all that stuff. And then also, essentially, I don't want to go on a nerd rant or anything, but
hey, we're on a podcast, brother.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Yeah, but from what I understand, a lot of autism is like, especially with the nonverbal ones, is an auditory processing issue, because what it really is your brain either develops slower or faster, and when it develops faster, sometimes things can get, muddled. So that's why the social communication stuff is sort of an issue for them, because it's kind of like moves through it too quickly. If that makes any sense. And if anyone online calls me out, I'll fully agree that I don't know everything I'm talking about. But that's what I understand about it. So like, has they ever seen Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
With the parents?
Yeah.
I believe that's how autistic people hear speech. Everything is wah, 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 wah. And so when we're telling them like, hey, like you say ball, and they're like, buh. And you're like, no, ball. They're going, buh. That's what I said, So, yeah. But that's just a little fun rant. Not really a rant. But I think you got it, and I think that's cool, dude. You should be proud of it.
Before I ask my next question, can you scoot like just an inch towards Thad?
Yes.
Like the whole chair?
Am I squeaking?
No, you're not squeaking. You're hitting the soundboard behind you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is a soundboard?
Well, the sound dampener.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Sound dampener.
Cool, man.
Cool, man. What is autism?
Well, I think it's like I said, it's during development of growth. It's your brain developing too fast or too slow, and there's symptoms of it, but that's not really autism, because some people can be neurotypical and have the same symptoms, But it's essentially that whenever your brain develops too fast or too slow at growth, some damage happens to it. And so like with the ones that speak really well, and they're autistic. It's more of like their social interaction. They're very logical. So like when you say something, like I had this with a kid the other day, and I can't name his name, but
First and last name, please.
yeah, we'll call him Dan, and I was like, Dan threw the ball over the fence, and a nice guy came back and picked it up and gave it to him, and I was like, hey Dan, can you say thank you? And he goes, yes. I can. I fully have that ability to say yes, you know. Or like whenever we were getting them to speak, the same kid, you know, he's all about the sun. So he was talking about like the sun is huge. It's got lots of gas in it. And we're like, yeah, dude, keep talking about the sun. I love this. This is way better than you throwing toys across the room. So we'll do this. And so he's like, the sun's got lots of gas. And I'm like, yeah, it's got lots of hydrogen gas. Can you say hydrogen? And he goes, hydrogen. In his mind, like we'll always be like, hey, can you say hi Dan? And he'll be like, hi Dan. Like he gets mad at us for making him do stuff. So he heard hi and drogen, and he was like, what idiot's name is Drogen? That's terrible. But yeah, I love that shit because I think it's very fun. I think it's really, really fun to be around that.
So according to a quick search.
Oh, dude, prove me wrong, please.
No, I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm just trying to see in myself whatever it is that you see. So the core features are social interactions. They find it harder to understand social cues like tone, facial expression, or body language, or more prefer limited social contact. For me, I think I'm very good at reading people. I think all of us have a variety of superpowers. The prefer limited social contact, though, that is definitely me, which is ironic to say as a podcaster who has a stranger sitting in my home right now. But I like once you leave, my social battery is at zero, and I don't want to see anyone once you walk out that door.
Right. I feel that. And hey, you may be neurotypical. I was just throwing something out there.
No, it's okay. I'm not trying to disprove you. I've never really thought about it before. Another trait is communication. Some people may speak very little or not at all, while others speak fluently but have trouble with conversational flow or figurative language. I will say that while I'm good with people one-on-one, I hate, for lack of a better term, like networking events or even like parties. So if you were to tell me like, David, I'm having like 40 people over for Halloween, would you like to join us? I'd probably say yes, but I would be you might not even catch on to it, but I would be so uncomfortable there. Being in a room full of 40 strangers, terrible. Yeah. Just terrible.
that I don't think I like that either. But I mean, it could just be social anxiety. Who knows? All I thought is I thought it was that, but who knows, you know? But yeah, autism is a hard thing to peg sometimes, you know? Also, you make good eye contact, and a lot of them don't make eye contact very well.
Well, like you said, it's a spectrum, right?
It is a spectrum.
It doesn't mean I'm not going to sit here and say I don't have it, but we don't know, like, if the spectrum is, let's say, 0 to 100, and 0 is none, and 100 is, like, the worst case of autism you could see in a human being.
For sure.
Maybe I'm at 5 or 10 or 15, you know?
The worst case of autism you can see. I know you. I know you meant that really well meaning, but what I heard is like, ugh. That's so funny. Yeah, that's pretty sick, man. That's pretty sick. But yeah, I think autism is really like I'm not autistic, but if I was, my hyper-fixation would be autism. I think it's a fun thing to think about, you know, because I'm pretty sure my grandpa's autistic. I've been thinking about that a lot recently. And this is the new hot thing to say, autism or whatever. But like, I legitimately, like, that stuff does not get diagnosed, especially in the past, and especially on a farm in the 40s.
Right.
I can remember the story of like, my grandpa bought a tandem bike whenever I was like 7 or 8, and he was telling me all about it. And he knows a lot about history and stuff, and he likes to recite the things that he knows. So he was telling me all about like how the handlebars are a little different than bikes at the time, and they had to make it longer, and it was started from this whatever, yada yada. And at this time, we heard a train whistle, And me and him kind of locked eyes, and without saying a word, we hopped on the bike and just started pedaling as fast as we could, half a mile down to the train tracks, which, if you don't know, he was a 65-year-old man at this time. So he's huffing and puffing the whole way there, just like, like he's got to get to go see that train, you know? We get up to the top of the hill, and as I get up there, there's already 2 chairs there. So I'm like, this man's been here before, you know? Mm-hmm. And we just sat there in silence and watched the train go by, which it was a lot of cars in that one. And at the end of it, right, I see him, and he looks kind of like a little upset. You know, he's taking his straw hat off. He's going, I'm like, what's going on, Grandpa? And he goes, well, there's 63 oil tankers this week. Last week there were 74. I think I need to sell some corn, you know. And I was like, what? And then I found out later that, you know, the world economy, corn's a commodity, soybeans are a commodity, so is oil. So in oil, it kind of controls a lot of stuff. When oil is being sold less, then bean prices go down. That's how I understand it. And so he was looking at that going, not a good sign, you know. But there's little stuff like that, you know, that he does, which I think is fun. His hyper-fixation is black people. Yeah, it's a fun man. Good guy. But no, he's a fun guy. But anyways, yeah, that's our autism rant. We're having fun.
We're having fun.
We've opened it up.
Okay, Tony.
Yeah, we're having fun.
We're having fun, everyone.
We're having fun. I'm here to let you know we're having fun. Yeah,
dude, it's funny because I accidentally invited a 18-year-old on the podcast, and I didn't know until the night before when I started getting my notes ready for the episode. Yeah, and so he thought it was just.
Thank God it was a he.
He thought it was just hilarious throughout the episode to keep making these old references because I'm so fucking old. Oh. And he watches the show, and when he hears this episode and hears you say, maybe you're autistic, I already know I'm going to start getting a slew of texts from him just being like, David, fucking autistic.
The tism is strong with this one. Yeah. Fun stuff. So this is an 18-year-old fan you have?
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, I ended up having him on because the primary audience, 65% of the audience is 24 years of age or younger. And part of the reason I didn't know how young he was because when we had our phone call, he was one of the most like articulate, eloquent like speakers I had met. Like I had a phone call with someone this week. It was terrible. It's terrible. And if I had to guess his age based off his pictures, he's probably like 26, 27, 28. And that's fine. Not everyone's good at talking. But this guy, in my mind's eye, I was like, he's got to be like 25 at least. And then we met for a workout before the episode, and I saw him, and I was like, how old are you, dude? And he's like, I'm 18. I'll be 19 in a month. And I'm like, all right. So I had him on because I figured the audience would probably like to hear from someone their age. So I was like, we'll make an exception for this guy. Great episode. Really good episode. Really solid speaker. Had some very interesting opinions on the education system. Had some very interesting opinions on like God and faith and spirituality. And he did a really good job. But he really likes to make fun of me. So there's another one, John. Enjoy.
Did he say things like skibbity and goon and stuff?
No.
Because I don't hang out with the young kids anymore these days, but I've heard online they're doing all that skibbity and goon stuff, you know. But you've heard, you know what these words mean?
No.
I don't know what skibbity means, but apparently goon is just another phrase or word for like jerking off or something.
Oh, I think I did know that.
Yeah. I'm late to the party on that one. I was late to On Fleek. You remember On Fleek?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I remember I was in college when I was doing the On Fleek stuff. And I was like, that's On Fleek. And they're like, dude, this isn't 2011. What are we doing here? You know? But when you grow up in a small town, you're almost like 10 or 12 years back behind everybody. Like we didn't have I don't think my grandparents had internet until I was like 14 or 15 or something like that. And even then it was dial-up. It was like the last years of dial-up. I don't remember exactly, but...
I remember that.
Yeah.
AOL?
Yeah.
You've got mail.
You've got mail, yeah. Shut that thing off. It's 9 o'clock at night, you know.
Dude, I remember one of my friends when we used to text each other on AOL. I was raised in a Christian household, for context, so my
Same.
parents did not expose us to much.
Mm.
And I remember one friend, we were talking online about something, and then he said, "All right, man, I'm going to sign off and go watch some porn."
Oh.
And I said, "What's porn?"
Oh my God.
And he said, "Oh my God!" And I think he said something like, "Porn is when you, porn is when all of a sudden you have a big tent under your sheets." And I don't think I even had an erection yet at that age. Sorry if this is making you uncomfortable,
no,
but
so
it's a
funny.
very real podcast.
Yeah.
And I remember I was so confused. I was like, "You have a tent under," like that. David was so confused in
Yeah.
that moment. I had no idea what we were even talking about.
No, the only reason I was shaking my head was because like I had a stepdad when I was a kid, and I was probably succumbed to that stuff a little too early. Like, but we were still like, I found a nudie calendar in his truck one time when I was like 10 years old, you know, and I knew nothing about sex ed other than the fact that it's like you mix this with that and then it worked. That's all I knew. And so like I had this nudie calendar. And I was like, I did some very quick child math. I was like, okay, I want to have this thing here. If it goes in the house, it's going to get found. I need to find a way to hide this. And so I put it in a jar and I hid it in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like it was in a spot by like this evergreen tree. And I would go back out every once in a while. And it was there for a long time until I forgot about it eventually. And I don't know if it's still there or whatever, because we moved houses. And that was a sad thing. We moved houses, and I was like, crap, I forgot my jar, you know? But yeah, at me being like at this point, like maybe 8 or 9 or maybe 10, or can't remember, because either way, I remember having the distinct thought that was like, oh, I really hope there's not a Douglas fir out there with half my DNA, you know? Like being a dumb 10-year-old, I was like, I don't want to go out in the woods and see like a little Douglas fir with a bald spot or nothing. You know.
Are you balding?
Yeah, I'm balding now.
Let me see.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Here we go. That's right.
Oh,
here.
not too bad.
Not too bad.
It's receding a little bit though.
Well, how old are you?
How do you think I am?
33?
38.
Oh, I thought you were Jesus. I'm sorry. No, you're 30. You're 38. Okay. Well, see, I'm 26, so I'm headed there. It's gonna happen.
I think I shaved my head for the first time in 2014, so I would have been about 27. Whoa.
Yeah.
So that actually, yeah,
I'm 26.
You might have 1 year left, and then you might be. If you need some tips on how to shave your head, just let me know.
No, when I go bald, I'm gonna be in a cave. I'm just gonna go hide away. There's no way I can show my face.
Well, you just keep the facial hair, and you'll be. That's why I grew the beard, is because it balances the equation.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with my grandpa always being like, shave your face, cut your hair, you know. So now everyone likes this that I have. They like the facial hair and stuff, but I hate it because I can just hear my grandpa's voice. I mean, like, why don't you shave that? You look like one of them damn hippies, you know. But
that's funny too, because it's like if you just let it go, like let's say it looked crazy,
Yeah.
that'd be one thing. But you look like you keep yours in like it's
try
pretty
to.
tight. Like it's not like we. I just had my barber clean up my beard, and part of the reason I went to him was because I looked in the mirror. I was like, this thing is getting wildly out of control. Yours, I think it looks good. I hope you can get your grandpa's voice out of your head in regards to the beard.
It'll never be out of my head. That guy's voice is here. I'll show you something he gave me a long time ago.
I'm scared.
You'll find this is fun. He made me this wallet right here. It says Nick Hartley says yes to baseball, and then on the back it says no to tobacco, alcohol, drugs, and hate. And I do all of those things. So it's like he has an image of me that I just don't really portray. You know, and he'll never see this podcast because he doesn't get on the internet. But I like to keep it that way. Sometimes I'll go back home and I'll forget completely about like how backwards it is sometimes, and I'll just slip right back into whatever he wants me to do. Like I can remember being 14 or 15 years old, and at this point I'm already like coming to terms with the fact that my grandpa is a racist, which is a hard thought for me because I love my grandpa, right? And he's hanging around his buddies, and he's kind of like, well, you know, Nick's like us. And I was like, yeah, I'm a conservative, you know. And he's like, no, you guys can let it fly here. You know, and I obviously never prove them wrong, you know, and I didn't say nothing because you don't talk around the elderly, but yeah, so that's raw and real, but it's not something I'm super happy about. It's just it's a weird dichotomy in me, which is where I, you know, love my grandpa, don't like that he's racist. How do those two things meet, and what do I do? Because like I'm not gonna change his mind, you know. But yeah, that's me. That constant battle in between. Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect segue because usually a question I ask much earlier in the episode this time is flying, which is a good sign. I'm enjoying this conversation very much. I've learned I'm autistic and that your dad's racist, and this is a very productive 30 minutes here. So one question in thinking of your intro, you know, all of this stuff that I said about you, you know, you're an engineering major, you're a comedian, you like sudoku, you used to play rugby, but that's all pretty surface level stuff. Who is Nick Hartley?
You know, well, we're asking some real shower questions right now, you know. Those ones with the water. Who am I? What am I doing here, you know? Is this what God wants for me? And then I get out of the shower and I go sin, you know. But
I go sin.
Yeah, I just out of the shower. I'm just a sinning boy. But
you have a shot of whiskey on the bathroom counter, a packet of Zins, or whatever
goodness.
I'm sucking on right now. What are these called again?
On pouches. Which I'm glad you brought that up. It's probably time to re-up. You know, it's probably.
Yeah, and I'm not letting you dodge this question. So I'm gonna...
You do. You really,
got him.
You really did. You got me, man. But who is Nick Hartley? I don't know. I'll just be blunt and honest with you. I like art. I like God. I like sports. That's really me. I think one of my favorite people in the world is Quentin Tarantino. One of my favorite athletes in the world is Bo Jackson. And then obviously one of my favorite things in the world is God, you know. So that's the three things that I think really make up me. And it's a weird question to ask somebody of like what makes somebody somebody, because like there's so many you know, external and past things that makes it, like there's too many random variables to say it, because you can even say that like somebody who's regarded as a bad person is a bad person because at some point they're succumbed to their circumstances, but also some people are born kind of like that, you know, they're just born with like a brain issue where, you know, they're just a psychopath. And so whenever I try to think about like my actions and the things that I'm not okay with, I try to put it in the frame of like, well, what part of this is in my control and what part of it isn't. And I definitely think some of the anxiety, some of the, the shame that I carry around, some of that is probably religious based, as it normally is, you know. Because if you have this guy that's on your back all the time, or at least that's how I think Protestant and Catholic religion is you've got this guy that's just standing up here looking down on you all the time, and you're just trying to, and every time you do something bad, you're looking up going, shit, he saw it again, you know. And so that adds to that. But at the same time, like, I do want to be a good person, you know. I think everybody wants to be a good person. But good is such a subjective thing, you know. Like, how do you really define what is good? So I really try not to think about like my actions defining me so much as like my intentions defining me. And I don't know if that's the right thing, but it keeps me going to sleep at night. So I like that. And I apply that to my grandpa too, you know, because in his mind, he grew up on a farm in the 1940s, you know. All he's ever heard was stuff from his dad, stuff from his grandpa, and what's on the news. If you're going to tell me the news is portraying black people appropriately, you're high on crack, you know. So, I mean, it's like he watches football. He can't even watch football. He calls it jungle ball. That's what he calls it. Yeah. But, and that's just, you know, that's just who he is because of how he grew up. And, but who he is as a person, I think he's somebody that wants to do the right thing. I think he's somebody that has the right intention a lot of the time. So that's how I try to view people. I try to view people based on their intention, you know. So that, yeah, I guess that's me. I try to see the best in people, I guess. But Yeah. This is why I like to do jokes and laugh, because I don't like this feeling of being like, yeah, I just talked about something real. I don't like that at all, you know?
Why?
I don't know. It makes me feel yucky inside. You know, you ever feel like you need to just yuck? That's how I feel. Yeah.
Are you a good person?
I don't know. Why do you keep asking me that question? I don't know.
I don't keep. That's the first time I've asked you.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think maybe you've asked yourself 7 or 8
I
times
have
today, and now you're being asked from an external party, and you're
Yeah.
like, "But I want this question to go away.
Get it out of here." Yeah. No, I definitely. I want to think that I'm a good person, but like, I definitely have higher standards for myself than I'm able to attain. Right. And that's something that I think all people struggle with, you know? Like, nobody's perfect, and even if you try to be perfect, you'll never really be perfect, and I'm far from it. I think sometimes me being a bit of a perfectionist actually leads me into being, like, losing some of my potential, you know? Because you mentioned the rugby thing earlier. When I was doing rugby, I was not a nice guy in college at all, because I expected everyone to have the same kind of drive that I had for it, and I was playing on a college rugby team with people who were going to go be engineers and CEOs and drive fast cars someday. You know, they were just doing this to have fun and drink with their buddies. But I loved rugby, and I expected everyone else to have that same opinion, and so I would yell at people. I was unkind to people, because to me that was the only acceptable way of thinking, was like do or die, you know. And that's just, if you apply that to yourself, eventually it will break you, and you'll just, okay, I don't want to do anything. You know, I keep falling short. Why am I even trying? And you can't have that, you know. But I've gotten out of it a little bit, you know. Like my apartment's clean now, and my car's clean, and I do all the things I need to do for comedy, because that's what I want to do. But as far as, you know, meeting people and trying to be forthcoming and all that stuff, I still have work to do in that front, because there's some days, and I'm sure you do this too, there's some days that I'll just see somebody and I'm like, yeah, I should probably talk to that person, but I'd rather just play on my phone right now, you know? And that's the little things like that will bother me at the end of the night, when I'm like, you're not giving it all you got, because that you could have done, you know? If that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some times where I think about I've been trying to invite more people on the show out in the wild, like at the gym, at HEB, and I'm just gonna pause there. What is funny about this?
I'm just trying to go out into the wilderness, meaning this society that we both live into. That's how much you love being inside, is that you're like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna open that door and just forage.
Well,
I'm gonna go forage for people. I want to go out there and forage, you know.
Well, it's a muscle I want to develop, because I get really nervous. So sometimes when something makes me nervous, I think that those are the important things to lean into. Like the idea of skydiving really scared me, and now I've jumped 7 times.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun, and something that used to terrify me is now something that I really love. And I had kept a note in my phone of everyone that I've cold approached in society since I've been in Austin, and there's over 300 names in there now, and I'll type a little note about what we talked about. So I'll go in there and I'll put like, Nick told me I'm autistic, his grandpa's racist. Like, I'll just put like 3 or 4 things down to try to remember you in case we run into each other again. But yes, I mean, that happened today at the gym, where there's someone that I've seen several times, and there's something about his body language, how he engages with people, and I'm just like, from my observations, I think this guy is probably a good person, and I'd be curious what he would want to talk about.
Yeah.
And he was in there today, and I was going to approach him, but there was a really good song on, I had a really good pump, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it.
No, sir. Yeah.
But I also don't feel bad for it this case. It was more so partly because I'm gonna see him again. We're there at the same time every fucking day.
You didn't miss your opportunity.
Right. Yeah. And also, like, I don't know. I am 11 years older than you, so maybe I've had more time to practice giving myself a little bit of grace. But it's not like I did something wrong, right?
Yeah.
It was just like I could have gone and talked to him. But I was like, I'm also going to talk to Nick today. I also talked with one buddy this morning on the phone for an hour.
Right.
Talked with a different friend for an hour. So I was like, I've got all the social interactions I need. And usually when I'm approaching a stranger, part of it is just that I'm feeling lonely, and I'm like, in the rest of the day, I'm not really going to see anyone. So if I don't talk to the stranger,
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to anybody. So I got to talk to someone.
Yeah, right. I feel that. I feel that for sure. Kind of that you're looking at your social battery and you're like, it's too full right now.
Yeah.
Social battery
Yeah.
is too full. It's about to burst at the seams, and that's where we get loneliness. Yeah.
I did see one guy though, right before his set, he put his feet on the ground and he put his hands together like this and he closed his eyes, and I was like, is this motherfucker praying before he does his next set? And so after he was done with his set, I did go up to him and I said, did you just pray before you started your I didn't say this judgmentally, but I was like, hey, did I just catch you praying for your workout by chance?
Ooh.
Like,
None of that here. Ugh.
I may call this the Iron Church, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you gotta pray in here, motherfucker.
That's so funny, dude. Oh, you got a cackle out of me. That was awesome, dude. Oh,
I love making you laugh.
Dude.
This is fun.
I don't laugh a lot, but you've done it a lot today. But continue your story. I'm interested.
Oh, and he just said, yeah, I was raised in a Christian home. And I went, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
He said, I was raised in a Christian home, and since I got a little older, I started to, really believe in God for myself, and not just because my parents told me to. And, it was going to be a really hard set. So I just thought I would take 10 seconds and say a little prayer before I started.
Yeah. That's the kind of faith that I wish I had. I mean, I believe in God, but that's some strong faith right there. Just like, God, help me through even the small things, That's beautiful. I love that.
All right, here's another question you're absolutely going to hate.
If it's about God, what is it? What do we got?
What's your relationship with God these days?
Oh, well, I actually, I have a very weird opinion about God that I shouldn't be ashamed to share, but I believe in God, and I believe that there is a guy that created, woman, whatever, that created the universe. My opinion is I just don't know how much he's interfering in our lives, and I struggle with that because I used to be a little agnostic because I think we could both agree that there's some things in the Bible that just don't make a whole lot of sense. And one of the phrases that I think about in my head all the time is that the Bible, while it is inspired by God, at the end of the day it's written by humans. Anything that's touched by imperfect hands cannot be perfect, and that doesn't mean that the core message of the Bible isn't perfect in its own. It's just that some of the interpretations are wrong. Because we're looking at early stage humans here who are using kind of whatever feeling they got from God or how he talked to him or whatever, and they're interpreting it in a different way. And I think one of the best examples I use for that is the pork thing you always see in the Old Testament where God says not to eat pork. And I think it's because, cows had salmonella and they didn't cook it properly and they died. And they said, well, obviously God doesn't want us to die. So obviously God doesn't want us to eat pork, And that's just early stage humans putting 2 and 2 together to equal 5. And so I think about stuff like that, knowing what I know now, and I'll read through the Bible and I go, okay, well, so then what am I reading for? And if there's, I forgot there's this part too, is if you want to believe in God, you first have to realize what is a God that's worth believing in, right? And for me, I think it's a God that's all powerful, because why would you want to worship a God that can't do anything? And then a God that's all good, because why would you want to worship a God that is imperfect? So I'll read the Bible and I'll be like, is this something that an all good, all powerful God would do? And if it doesn't line up with it, I just chalk it up to early stage humans putting 2 and 2 together incorrectly. And so whenever I think about that, then I think, well, okay, what does God really want from us? And I think what he wants is the same thing that he gives, that he'll know he'll never get, which is unconditional love, right? And how can we give God unconditional love? And I just don't see unconditional love being like, you know, asking God for, like, using God as an ATM machine. You know, like, God, please give me this thing. Please give me this thing. Help me out. I'm so special that I deserve this. And I know the way that religion is meant is that we are all special that way, and we all do deserve that from God. But I think as long as you have it in your mind that even if those things don't happen, you're still going to love God, that's okay. But some people aren't like that. You know, some people bad things will happen to them, and they'll turn to God and they'll say, God, why did you do this to me? Why did you allow this to happen to me, of all people, a follower of you? Why would you allow my father to die before his time, or yada yada? And and I think part of that stems from the fact that they use God as an ATM machine, and I try my best not to do that, because it's the same thing as, like, with a loved one in your family. You don't want them to ever think that you're a mooch, you know, or anything. You want them to know that you love them unconditionally. And so knowing that I don't want God to think that I'm a mooch on him, even though I definitely need him, I don't pray to him all the time. Like for that guy you said that was like, hey, God, help me through this set, because I feel part of me, I'm battling with that right now, which is like, but isn't that still just me, you know, asking God for something that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things? You know, whether I do this set or not doesn't matter. And so why on earth would he intervene? And then I have another thought experiment, which I'm actually trying to get out of. And this one I think is fun, but I think it's wrong. So I'm going to preface it with that. But have you ever heard of the I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's called like the Russian rat experiment, in my mind. It was this guy in the 50s or the 60s. He made a utopia for rats. And so it started off with a couple different rat families, so they didn't get inbred. And they had all the bedding, all the food, all the space to run around freely. And he would just sit there and he would watch it. And, you know, eventually what happened to these rats is they grew from 3 families to about 250 rats. And then at that point, at the peak, they started to get lethargic. Some started to starve themselves to death. Some started to eat themselves to death. Some joined gangs and they would beat up on other rats. Some of the rats turned gay, you know, and all this other stuff. So like this whole rat society just kind of collapsed in the span of like a week, and they all got sick and died. And people listen to that story and they go, oh, well, obviously we can extrapolate this onto like humans. Humans aren't supposed to be without troubles and struggles, because we have to be challenged. We're still animals, you know. But what I took from it was, you know, there's a man on the outside that made a thing, and he didn't want to interfere with the experiment, so he just watched everything happen and then die. And I think that's kind of how I view God right now. I don't know if it's healthy, but being somebody that wants unconditional love, God, if he were to interfere at all, then that would kind of change the data for like, well, maybe this one only loves me because I'm giving him stuff, you know. And obviously that's not completely true. This is what took me out of it, was like, because he knows our hearts, he knows everything, then he would know which ones are actually, you know, true and good all the way through. And he also knows which ones aren't true and good now, but will be later, you know. And so it's like when you're talking about eternity and God and all this stuff, it's stuff that our brains aren't meant to handle. And so to take all that and just null and void it, I just have to sit here and say, well, I just believe there's a God, and that's it. End of story. But yeah, that's how I feel. But
the Russian rat experiment is sort of a dark outlook.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong,
I think it's wrong.
You think it's wrong?
I think it's wrong because I don't think God. That's coming from an uncompassionate experiment guy, and I've already said that God is all good, and to be all good, you have to be compassionate to some degree, right? But then that asks the other question, which is, then why does God let bad things happen? Well, one of the best answers I have for that is because it would ruin the experiment, you know, and that terrifies the fuck out of me. Don't you miss the time when I said you were autistic?
Well,
a lot more fun.
well, I'm still having fun.
Okay, good.
We're just, talking about stuff for a minute.
Yeah.
You know Isaac Kane?
Brown? Yeah, I love Isaac.
So
Good friend.
he just had an episode come out today, and one of the things the stories I told him, we somehow got on the topic of the paranormal.
Okay.
I told him this story about, it was one night in December in 2021, I believe. And I'm a huge Christmas person, so I always decorate. I put up a bunch of lights and buy a Christmas tree and get the smell of pine in here. I'm very jolly. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
You know, ho, 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 I guess would be more
Ho, ho, ho.
appropriate. And so there is one night where I was stone cold sober. And right before I went to bed, I unplugged the Christmas tree. All the lights have to be plugged in. You know, it wasn't like now where you can get LEDs and just take a remote and toggle between off and on.
Yeah.
So I unplugged everything. I love sleeping in the dark. I don't want any lights. Even like my internet modem, I put a little towel over it. So even that tiny blue light,
100%.
I want it pitch black. So I turn off everything. I get in bed and I wake up at like 2 a.m. I wake up. And as soon as I woke up, or actually as I'm waking up, you know how sometimes you're not fully awake, but you are waking up, but you're sort of in that like weird in-between space between sleeping and fully alert. And I just had this sense of dread, like for my life. I was more afraid in that moment than I have been jumping out of an airplane. And so I wake up and I immediately go from lying down, I sit up really quick, and every light in the apartment is on. The ceiling lights, the Christmas lights had been plugged back in, and I have no history of sleepwalking, so I don't think it was that. My brother is a sleepwalker, so if this was his story, I'd be like, well, you were just sleepwalking again. You know, that's the end of the story. And so I told Isaac, like, between the state of dread, and I've never felt that at any other moment in my life. This is the only day I felt afraid that something was terribly wrong. And I ended up checking the door. It was locked. All the windows were locked. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was moved. Somehow, every single light in the home got turned back on. So me and Isaac were talking about ghosts and whatnot for a minute. And then a couple minutes later, he says, well, going back to your story, he said, would you want that knowledge of what happened that night? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, if you could somehow lift the veil and get the answer to whatever spirit, entity, demon, human, like, would you want to know what happened while you were sleeping if you had that ability to say, I want that knowledge? And I thought about it for a second, and I said, you know what? I actually don't. I don't think I would lift the veil. Because if it was, let's just say for argument's sake for a second, if the reality is that there are angels and demons and spirits that we are different from humans, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, and a demon or a bad spirit or entity came into my house and was haunting me for whatever reason, I now know that demons are real. I know that one was in my home. I know that it had malicious intent. I don't think I want that knowledge. I think I'm okay with the fact that I just turned everything back off. I got back in bed, I tossed and turned the rest of the night because I couldn't sleep, and then the next day I went on with my day, and I've never really thought about it except for when I'm telling this story. So to your point, even if we could comprehend it, I almost think sometimes too, ignorance is bliss. I don't know, I don't know if we are the rats in the cage. I don't know that I'd want to know about the man that's operating it all without operating anything at the same time.
Well, what I like to always say is ignorance is bliss as long as there's no consequences. So in your specific story, the consequences of you turning the lights off and not lifting the veil and not thinking about it is that, nothing happened. You still lived. You didn't get a demon. But if the consequence was you had the option to lift the veil and figure out that it was a demon or it was whatever, and then that stopped you from, getting possessed by a demon or whatever, then you would feel like, oh, well, I need to see what's underneath that veil so I can prepare myself for what's to come, But I think ignorance is bliss. It's a good thing because in that scenario, it was just a one-off thing, and demons really don't have that much control over us, especially if you're a godly person, So you probably did do the right thing. But I would lift the veil for sure, 100%.
You would?
I would. I want to know what it is. I want to know how to prepare myself for it. And maybe lifting the veil in general is the only thing that actually would allow the demon into your soul. But I don't know that for a fact. And I guess I see your point then is like you're okay with the way that things are, and by seeing what it actually is may actually cause things to change. So there's no reason to see.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes back to like I don't know if you've ever watched any show with like time travel, but I was rewatching a few of the early seasons of The Flash, the CW show, and as soon as Barry found out he could time travel, and as soon as he starts going forward in time and seeing what's happened, and then going back in time, and he finds out like, oh, I can save my mom. As soon as he starts time traveling, he starts overthinking everything, and and his whole reality just goes to shit. And that's why I think there is a comfort in not knowing what tomorrow holds and not knowing what next week holds or what month holds, because it just like, it's too much.
It's out of your control, you know. There's no reason to worry about things that are out of your control. And I worry about things that are out of my control all the time, you know. Like it's just not a good way of living. So, but I'm also 26. When I'm 37 or 38, you know, I might go, hey, that David guy was right. Yeah, then I'll make fun of all them 26-year-olds, because right now I make fun of all them damn 18-year-olds, you know. Skibbity goon or whatever they say. Good people though.
Hey man, this Zen is bussin'.
The Zen is bussin'. I don't know if bussin' is new, but I like that you used it. Oh, bussin', yeah.
Hey Nick, you got a girlfriend? You must got mad Riz, brother. Teach me some things.
Teach me some things.
Teach me how to be more Riz.
I have the least Riz on the planet. I got as much Riz as a Riz cracker. That's what I have.
I have a hard time believing that you weren't a nice guy in college. It makes sense in the context you put it in with the sports analogy, because I could see that. I do that projection sometimes in the early days of podcasting. Like I'm talking like the first 10, 15 episodes. I would tag all the guests as like a collaborator on the shorts, and I would ask them to share the thing with people, and no one ever did jack shit. And it was sort of a hard lesson to realize that I'm the only person that cares about this podcast so much. I'm the only person that lives this thing, breathes this thing, wants it to succeed. And the guests, that is not their job. And now I'm at peace with it. It does bug me a little bit when people accept something to be collaborating on something, and then like 2 days later they remove themselves from the collaboration. I'm like, that's sort of just mean. But
it is mean.
But I also have realized that I am the sole marketer of this show. This show. It's not you. It's not John. It's not Isaac. It's just me.
It is. It's all. I mean, I'll help out. If you ask me to collaborate, I'll share it to people. But I mean, that is exactly how I felt pretty much in college, and it's infuriating, you know, because you want something to really work, and unfortunately, when you want something to really work and requires other people, you're always going to have the conflict of like someone's just not going to give a rat's behind about it, you know. And I'm kind of getting back to that mindset right now, just thinking about all the practices I was yelling or screaming at people. I appreciate you thinking that I sound like a nice guy, because I still have those memories of me being a bad person in my head, and I'm like, that's still me a little bit, you know. I still got it.
Well, it goes back to the phone call. The whole reason I do that is a vibe check. I don't actually care what we talk about on that phone call. I just want to have a human interaction with you for a few minutes and see what kind of person you are. And when we got on the phone, we were like 4 or 5 minutes in, and I didn't say it right away, but in my head I was like, I like this guy. He's coming on the show. So
I had the same thought, by the way, but
appreciate you.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of each other.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah. Second day.
I want to see you perform live.
Oh, I got a show tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I got a show at Narbar.
Where? I mean,
see, if you're telling me that's not autism, I don't know what is.
What time?
It should be. Let me check my phone real quick, because I don't want to lie to you. But it should be at 8:00. It might be at 10, because there's 2 shows that they do there. And then you'll get to see my buddy Mason Burke, because I think he's going to try to hop in the lineup. And Mason is so funny. He's the guy you definitely want on this podcast. I think 10:00. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I'm not seeing.
If I show up at
10 p.m. 10 p.m.
I was going to say, if I show up at 10 o'clock and Narbar is closed, I don't want to see you again.
Fair enough, dude.
The parking lot's empty, the lights are off, the door's locked. I'm just like, this motherfucker.
He's like, oh, David, we've been waiting on you. You get stabbed and robbed. I thought Nick was a good guy. He told me he was a bad guy. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I listen to him?
You just start believing people more when they say stuff.
Don't believe. You know, that's not to talk about my grandpa too much.
Let's talk about him.
It was so funny. Whenever I was a kid, there's 3 or 4 black people in town, and I lived right next to this fella named Kellen, and I always had the utmost respect for Kellen. He's a cool guy. He was older than me, so I used to go over to his house all the time, and we'd play games. Like we played this one game called Booty Bump and Leash on his trampoline, where I would strap onto his back, and he would just jump around like a bronco and just try to knock me off, pretty much. And I, that's probably where I got my first concussion. I'm sure. I remember I got a bloody nose, but we used to play and stuff all the time. And I thought he was the greatest because he was a lot older than me, about 3 or 4 years or something. And then my grandpa had found out I was hanging out with him, and we were putting straw bales up in a hot, sweaty, hornet-infested barn. And he was just, more angry than he normally is working. And he just kind of said, "Now, I heard you've been hanging out with Kellen." And I said, "Yeah, I have. He lives right next to me." And he goes, "Well, you just you gotta be careful, And I said, "Grandpa, he's a straight A student. His dad's the history teacher. He is a star athlete." And he goes, "Nick, they always are." They always are. I was like, that's crazy, but that's exactly how my grandpa is. And I was applying that exactly to you're saying, like, believe in who people are and stuff like that. My grandpa would always say, "Don't believe who people are." Don't do that. Always think of the worst of people. But yes, they're black, I guess. But he believes a lot, and no, I'm giving him too much credit. He's very judgmental. He's a very judgmental man. Like his hatred for the road grader back home.
The what?
The road grader. Do you know what a road grader is?
No.
So they have gravel dirt roads, and they have a guy that's with the county or whatever that comes by and grades the roads. It's this big machine. It's very long. It's got a blade underneath it that's curved like a snowplow. And basically what they try to do is take the crown off the road so the water doesn't rush too fast to make waves in the road. And every day he'll sit there as the road grader comes by, and he stands outside, hands on hips, just mean mugging him whole time. And the reason why is because he keeps messing up the roads. And Grandpa is like, I tell you, there's just some people that should be shot in this world. Just nobody knows how to do anything anymore. It's terrible, just awful. And that's how he is. Instead of being like, "Oh, this is a guy that works at the county. He's 35 years younger than you, and he's learning how to do it." Instead, he's just like, "Nope, that guy should never be allowed to touch anything ever again." So I guess he is a judgmental person. But
you've mentioned your grandpa.
I have a fixation. I'm aware.
Well, no, that's not what I was going to say. Do you have parents? Or
I do. Okay. So my mom and dad were divorced a lot. I mean,
they did it quite often, huh? No, they're like, "You want to try this again? Get back together." 3 days later, "We're done."
No, they were divorced since I was 4 years old. So I don't. I remember the first time I saw both of them in the same room together. I was going to college and I was like 19 or 20. I was 19, and my dad came by with a horse trailer so I could load all my stuff into it. And my mom was outside and my dad was outside. And I remember it was just like an epiphany. I was like, I've never seen these two people in the same room together my whole life. Church, sports, anything. Never seen them within 100 yards of each other. And it just always blew my mind. And that's kind of like their dynamic. So when I was a kid and my dad was busy doing farming or whatever he was doing, and I was with him, I was just hanging out with my grandpa and my grandma. Or whenever mom had the same thing, I was hanging out with my other grandparents. So I like to say, yeah, I was raised by my mom and my dad, but I was really raised by both of my grandparents, because they were too busy, trying to survive, trying to make money, trying to, just deal with the fact that this divorce had put both their lives into such a crappy spot, and my grandparents never had that. They were always happy-go-lucky people, so I would always say I was raised by my grandparents. And I will always be appreciative of them for that because they really are great people, And I'm the only person in my family that calls them every day, and it infuriates me. I go call call your stinking grandma. You know, she misses you. And they're like, well, I'm busy. I've got to go party. And I'm like, you know. I only have sisters, so that's why that's really funny. But no.
How many siblings you got?
I had an older sister and a younger sister. Yeah. So the older sister and I used to be like best friends, like super tight, you know. And then she ran off to Alaska when she was 18 with her new husband who was in the Air Force. And I didn't really see her for like 3 years or whatever. And that's when me and my younger sister became really close.
Where's she?
She's in Columbia right now getting her physical therapy degree.
Yeah. She's smart.
Well, she likes
Careful.
likes to show friends, you know, but what are you going to do?
And home. Who are you? What are you looking at?
I said she likes to show friends, and meaning that she's dumb, and you didn't be like, oh, of course. I was like, oh no.
Oh, well, I thought I'm autistic.
He's finally realized.
The way I took it was just like maybe she was trying to show off to her friends that she's smart, so she went for like the hardest degree possible. That's how I took it. So I was just like, okay, she's trying to overcompensate for something.
That's fair. I was probably a little, but no, I really hate that show Friends a lot. And
why?
I think it's poor writing. I think the jokes are bad in it, and I really like what's going on in here. It's just like there's no difference between it and like a Spanish soap opera other than the fact that this show is done in English. There's just no depth to it at all. Now, I'll tell you a show that's good. How I Met Your Mother. Very good, very well written, and I will die on this hill.
You know what's funny is we were raised on Friends, and I tried to get into How I Met Your Mother, and I never could. And if you want to fight me now, that's fine, because I'll win. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. You're a country
You seem
boy.
like you do jujitsu, you know?
I don't.
Oh.
I mean, I do.
I don't
all
know.
The time, every day, jujitsuing.
Jujitsuing. You're just jutsing around, you know?
Yeah. You call your grandpa every day?
No, he doesn't like talking on the phone.
Grandma. Do you call you said you call someone every day.
I call my sister Morgan pretty much every day. But I call my grandparents at least once a week, you know.
What do you talk to your sister about?
Just everything. We were talking about God last night because it was funny you asked me that question because I was telling her some of the stuff I've been thinking about. She's very religious. She's a lot stronger in her faith than I am, and I've always admired her for that. But you know, she was just like, well, you know, the answer to all these things is always just to open your Bible. That's what I say. But I was like, but I just mentioned to you all the problems I have with the Bible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm just saying that's the answer. And yeah, her ability to just kind of like block out the noise and be like, this is what is something I don't quite have. But yeah, I talk to my grandparents probably once a week, and both sets of them. So I'll have 2 conversations with grandparents. And by the way, both of them only have one phone.
Ah.
So
is it a house phone, like on the wall with
no,
the little dial thingy?
It's a cell phone. Like so, my dad's parents, they have a little flip phone that's gray from like 2004.
Yeah.
You know,
those work still?
Well, yeah, they do. Yeah. You can get like a Verizon plan with them. And then the other ones, they have an iPhone that they share. And so when I talk with them, they'll put it on speakerphone because the other one doesn't really have speakerphone option. But they'll put it on speakerphone, and then it's like most of the conversation feels like them just bickering back and forth. Be like, well, no, we went to the grocery store, and then we went to Home Depot. You know, it's like, no, you've got it all wrong. We went to Home Depot, and then that's why I said that thing to you in the grocery store. Oh, well, you might be right. And I'm going, okay, well, it's been about 2 hours. I gotta go, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much what my day is set up to be. Oh,
I have a resentment I could talk to you about.
Ooh, tell me.
So my mom, since I've been in Austin for 3 years.
Okay.
I call her every now, not too often. Yeah, I'm gonna do that in a second too. But dude, she has called me one time since I've lived in Austin. 3 years. She's called me once. And she's just apparently not, I guess one of my sisters told me she just doesn't like talking on the phone. But I'm like, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
Don't you want to talk to your son?
I feel that.
And my brother as well. I've called him. We saw each other in July. He lives in Oregon. I live here. So I've called him twice, and I know he's going through some stuff right now. And that's part of the reason I want to talk to him. Is even if we don't talk about it, like I just want to talk to my brother. Mm-hmm. He hasn't called me back either, And I'm just like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
wrong? Like, if I died tomorrow, would you guys regret this? Let's put a very extreme lens on this. How would you feel if you heard that I went skydiving for my 8th time, hit parachute didn't come out, splat, blew up into 1,000 pieces, and you didn't even return my phone call?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree.
As you can tell, this really does bother me a little bit.
Well, because it's another one of those things where the consequences, which are probably unlikely to happen, still outweigh the I don't know how exactly I want to say this, but like, yeah, you're probably not going to die tomorrow, but like if you did, and so you've got 60 years left if you're lucky. You're
I
37.
hope not.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But in those 60 years, like you have all this time to then grow a better relationship with your family members, and if you don't have a good relationship with your family members, I mean, what are we doing? Even if they're not like the best people to you, they're still the people who were with you when you grew up, and part of who you are is how you grew up. So like, yeah, you don't like talking on the phone, but like we all make sacrifices for people. So I get that 100%. Like if even if you don't like talking on the phone, you should still talk on the phone to talk to your son or your brother.
Yeah.
And I get mad at my siblings and stuff too, because they squabble and like, well, I've got this to do, and it's like, okay, yeah, you can't spare 10 minutes of studying to go talk to your grandparents who probably only have 5 to 10 years left. Like time is ticking. You know, and then someday you're just gonna think about all the times you didn't get to talk to them, and so that's why it's always better to do more and go, well, I did all the talking I could when they die. No one ever says that though. No one's ever like, yeah, I talked too much to that person. But that's the short-sightedness of the present.
Yeah.
I would say.
We'll get off this audience, but after this episode, no, not even right now. Right now.
Let's do it now.
Pause the episode.
Okay.
And go call someone. Pause
Okay.
I'm not saying we're not going to. I'm talking to the audience. I'm telling them. Pause this episode, pick up your phone, and call that family member or friend that you haven't talked to in a little while. It doesn't have to be an hour-long talk. Maybe it's just 5 minutes, and you just check in, say hello, how you been? I thought about you because I'm listening to this autistic dude podcast, and he told me to do it, and it seemed like good advice.
And then right after that little wholesome call 1-800-SLUTS. That's what I would say. It's my favorite thing to do afterwards.
Is that a real thing?
No.
Oh, I was like,
I'm sure it's real, but I only say that because it's always so funny when I'll talk to my mom and I'll be like, yeah, everything's good. I'm keeping my house clean and everything like that. And then I'm about to go hang out with some comedians and drink until 3 or 4 in the morning and stuff that I know she would not be okay with.
You're such a sinner.
I know, exactly. I'll be like, especially with my grandpa, because he does not know that I drink at all. So like I'll get off the phone with him like, yeah, well, probably gonna turn in for the night, Grandpa, and then I'm really just getting ready to start my night, at 10 p.m. And he's like, oh, I don't know how you kids stay up this late, I'm like, oh, Gramps. I won't be in bed for another 5 hours probably, but yeah, I think family is a really important thing, and I always get sad when my family's not perfect. We've had the issues and stuff, but I think it's always really important to give them more grace than you would give a stranger, at least, Don't you agree with that? Give your family members a little more grace.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish we would.
I wish we would.
Yeah.
And do you want to call anybody out in this one?
well,
I'm talking to you, Uncle George.
I
Yeah.
mean, if my brother, he does tune into the podcast every now and then, and so if he does listen to this episode, you won't hear this yet because you're probably on the phone talking right now,
Yeah.
because he paused the episode to call me. But I would say, like, yes, I might sound. It's not even anger. It's more of a hurt feeling. It's more. And I think sometimes when you're hurt, it can come off as like resentful or bitter or angry. But at the end of the day, I'm boring you now. I have a set of fun questions here. We're going to reset this thing in a second.
Continue.
But it's more so. My family's in New York, Texas, California, and Oregon. And I think I told them when I saw them last Christmas that the reality is that all of us are only under one roof about once a year. And if you think about it, that means we're only going to see each other in person 30 to 40 more times if we're lucky. with all of us. What if, we have a history of cancer in my family? I have an aunt died at like 54 years old from cancer. What if one of us dies way younger
Right.
than we were expecting because we forgot about Aunt Jennifer because it was so fucking long ago, Aunt Jenny. And so it is just one of those things where it's like, some people have tried to reassure me and been like, David, you did what you were supposed to do. You called them. Like, you can feel good now. I'm like, but I don't feel good because I want them to call me back.
Yeah.
Maybe not right away. Maybe they're busy. I get it. We're all busy. If one of them called me right now, I wouldn't even know because the phone's down here on silent. But I would call them back between now and going to see your show tonight, so they'd hear back within 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, and that's such a funny perspective of being like, well, you don't have to feel bad now, as if it's like there's just chores that you have to do, and it's not about that. It's about the fact that I just want to maintain this relationship and know what's going on with them. That's what I want. I want them to answer. I don't want them to be like, well, I'm not to blame here. Like that's crazy. That's very short-sighted to think that it's all just about like getting blame off your back.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking too, and this is part of the reason I'm going to see my shrink, is I haven't talked to my dad in like 14 years.
Really?
And I heard from the grapevine that he's going to try to reestablish our relationship at some point in 2025. So they were like, just so you know, you might see him calling you at some point this year, and we are getting very close to December 31st. And they told me this back in May. So I've just been like waiting to feel the phone vibrating and pull it out of my pocket, see that it's good old dad, and I don't know how that phone call is going to go, and I don't know if I even want to pick up.
Well, I have some insight if you want to hear it.
Yeah, let's go.
My best friend Kyle, he never knew. Well, he knew his dad when he was really young. His dad skipped out on him, and as rough as most people's childhoods are, his was like crazy rough. His mom, they lived in some rundown house in Hamilton, Missouri. Lived off of food stamps. She would never had her health, and he, from the time he was 18, joined the military and was a breadwinner for his family, doing his father's job. And he and his brother used to joke about, going to track down their dad and kick the shit out of him. And then one day he actually was able, he kind of had his dad's number, and he just said, I just can't do it. I can't call the guy because it's not going to be positive. It's just going to be me screaming and how mad I am that, at him. And I told him he should call him, but what do I know about that? It's his life. And then his dad died pretty much a year later. And he says he doesn't miss him, but I know every once in a while he talks about him, and he's like, yeah, well, it would have been nice to at least hear his voice one time, And the thing is whether you like it or not, biology does matter. You are half of your father. You are half of your mother. And one of the things I am very thankful for is me and my dad apparently look a lot alike. I don't see it. Everyone else sees it. And we also sound a lot alike. And I think I get a weird amount of comfort from that. Even though, while I love my dad, he's not somebody that, like, I look up to him, I would say, but he's not Martin Luther King. I'll say that. He's not like
he's probably not black.
He's probably not black. You're right. Who knows? But I don't see color. But anyways, yeah, so even though I do get some enjoyment out of the fact that, like, that is kind of where I came from. This man gave me part of me, if that makes any sense. And the other part of it, so that's kind of the more logical part, but also, like, I have a sister who doesn't quite get along with my mom. And I think that having a good relationship with your parents will, whether you like it or not, is gonna fill a hole inside of you that you don't know that you didn't have. Like, I'm not saying you can allow this man, like, give him money or a loan or whatever, but you should still be able to have a relationship with him and say, like, yeah, sorry, Dad, I can't do that, but call me again sometime, Because that kind of barrier is what allows you to then talk to these people who have hurt you, who have whatever, and then also not put you in this position where you have all this anxiety or anger or hatred that is unresolved. I don't think you have that. You seem like a very happy-go-lucky guy. But if you're going to a shrink about it, it's clearly you're aware that maybe there's something about this conversation that is going to set you off and and that you won't like. Bring out some things that you don't like, and it's not about like, well, he doesn't deserve to talk to me. It's about the fact of that's half of who you are genetically, and his story is what partly created your story. And to fill in the gaps of your story, you kind of need to know his story too, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like the comment you said about your grandpa earlier was, he was doing the best with what he had.
Yeah.
So a lot of your grandpa's, just who he is, his
Yeah.
character probably was heavily influenced by his father. His father's character was heavily influenced by his father, and it's the trickle down effect.
And it doesn't make it okay, but it does help you get some sort of closure about like why things happened the way they happened, and what you might find out is that I don't know if this is gonna happen. He may have just been a broken soul at the time, and finally come back to realize that he's made a mistake and he's still a human, and he has a son out there that he really wants to talk to and make up for, and that's a beautiful thing, I think, personally. I don't want to tell you how to do your stuff because I've never had my dad run off on me, but I think parents and family is really important to everything. Regardless, am I still squeaking on it? I'm sorry.
Did you see me look?
Yeah, I did. I saw you look at it. Yeah, I don't know. I think you should welcome it with like open arms and know that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable, but that's, I think, where you get the good stuff, And when you're 80 years old, you'll get to tell your children. I don't know if you want to have children, but
No.
You don't want to have children. Well, you'll get to tell your brother's children someday about their father's dad and the story that led their father to where he's at and how that changed maybe his relationship with stuff. That's a beautiful thing in my mind, because I remember growing up, we didn't know how my parents got divorced. We had to piece it together for years. It was asking an aunt here. I used to go to high school basketball games and just walk around and try to find people that look like my dad's age because I look so much like my dad that they would be like, "Hey, you're Dan's boy, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." Yes, I am. And they would say stuff like, "Ooh, your dad was a hell of an athlete," and I already had questions made up. I was like, "Yeah, what was his 40 time? Do you remember? What do you think? Who was his favorite person on the team?" Like, and they're like, I don't know any of that, but I do remember, and you'll get some stories out of it because they would never tell us anything like that, and we had to do that for their divorce as well, and it helped put the pieces together. I don't think my dad will see this, so I'll go ahead and say one story just to kind of solidify what we're talking about. But when I was a young kid, probably 5, a year after they got divorced, or might have still been 4, my dad wrecked his truck, and he always told us he hit a turkey. For my whole life, I thought, this guy hit a turkey. And he took all the seats out. He put a white hood on it. He put a black roof on it. I remember sitting there in an empty truck with all the seats out, just watching my dad work, and that's a core memory of mine. And I just thought, man, that was a big turkey that hit him. And I find out later in life that he instead did not hit a turkey, and he was, going through divorce, probably drinking a little too much, and one thing led to another, and he, ended up wrecking his truck because of that. And those little pieces of my dad, I like to know about. I like to know who he really is, but I'm never going to ask him. And if he does see this, I hope he calls me and says, "Why are you telling people that?" Because I will never call my dad and be like, "Hey, you remember when you got that DUI? You remember when all this stuff happened?" I'll never do that because I think he enjoys the fact that he thinks he got away with his kids not knowing that. And I hope he knows that, like, I don't look at him any different because he was a young kid. He was 20, 28, 29, I don't know how old it was, maybe even 30, just going through divorce, his life splitting in two. I mean, it's going to happen, and that helps my relationship with my dad, because it puts him into perspective. Am I talking too much? Because if you want to say some stuff, you can. I was going on a thing.
No. You're not. You're. This is about you. I always my rule in my head is that you should do 80 to 90% of the talking, and I just throw a few questions in here and there, and maybe tell a relatable story. But no, did I look bored?
No. I was getting insecure because I was like, I am talking a lot. But and then I guess the other part of that story is whenever I was 22 or whatever, nobody in my family really talks about this. I had to hear it from my aunt. I actually had to hear it from my sister, who heard it from my aunt, because my sister called me. She's like, I got news on Dad. You know, that's what we used to do. I was like, I heard about when Dad was in college or whatever, you know. And that's we pieced this story together. And I remember I was sitting with my grandpa, and I was 22, and we were going to a bluegrass festival or something, and we were just talking about wrecks and stuff like that. And I was like, well, yeah, it's hard thing to fix a hood. I mean, yeah. I mean, I haven't done any of that detail work. And I was like, well, you remember when Dad, you know, hit that turkey a long time ago. And my grandpa was like, hit a turkey? Your dad never hit it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, whenever Danny hit that turkey. Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty rough, wasn't it? And I was like, yeah, he had all the seats out. And so I'm talking to my grandpa, knowing full well what happened, and he knows full well what happened. I'm going, yeah, he had all the seats out and put a new roof on it. And I thought, I remember looking at my grandma going, that must have been a big turkey. And he was like, yeah, you know, they make them big around here. But, yeah, and I love that shit. I really do. I think that's, and you might get some of that from your dad. Your dad might be like, yeah, I messed up. I made a lot of mistakes. But your mom was not a Coldplay fan, and that was it. I couldn't, you know. I didn't know you were a Coldplay fan. Yeah, but I think that's really cool. I think it's actually really cool that you have an opportunity to learn a lot about your dad in a short amount of time. So.
It's funny how you can have both like very optimistic and very pessimistic views on life in the same conversation.
Yeah. Cognitive dissonance just runs through my head, dude. It's crazy. But
it is a very positive I would be lying if I said I am curious why now. You know, why after so long did he just go up to my mom and be like, "Hey, what would happen if I called David?" And she said, I don't know.
I haven't called him. I wouldn't tell you. Quite frankly, I'm trying not to call him. You know, that'd be something. Dude, no, that would never happen. I'm sorry.
You're a comedian.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're a comedian. That was funny.
I don't know. I haven't called him. Yeah. But, no, let's continue what you're saying.
Oh, I think I will take the call when it comes in. I'm really curious to see how that first 60 seconds go, because he should be, let me do some quick math. He's 74 right now.
Oh, shit.
So part of me is wondering, and I also know his grandma, or his mom, my grandma, is going to die any day. Mm. And I wonder if by seeing his mom, you know, she has Alzheimer's, she has a full-time like caretaker, and being that she could literally, like, I could get a text while we're recording being like, hey, from my brother being like, hey, David, just as well, not him because he never calls me either. My sister, my sister might text me while we're in this podcast and be like, hey, just so you know, Grandma A is dead, or passed away, however she would word it. And so I do wonder if, like, maybe he's seeing his own age and his own mortality, and he's finally had this realization of like, shit, I haven't talked to one of my kids, like someone I birthed and raised for 14 years, and I'm 74 and I'm slowing down a little bit, and maybe it's time to reconnect with my son. And I don't know why I'm talking like this, because we sure don't have an accent like you do, but here I go.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think that probably is what's going on, is because whenever the distractions of the world kind of go away and the impending thought of death starts to creep into your mind, you start to realize that what stuff is real. It's almost like it's like a shit sandwich, you know. Mm. It's like the bad stuff sinks to the bottom and the less bad stuff gets up on top, you know. And so the first thing you're gonna get rid of is what's on the bottom. if that makes any sense.
I'm smelling what you're stepping
Smelling
in.
when I'm stepping in?
Doesn't
Yeah.
smell very good.
And so the stuff like he may even be upset about the fact like, yeah, I scratched up a truck a long time. That shit doesn't matter. That's up here, you know. The stuff on the bottom is like he's like, "Oh my god, my family, which is that's what really matters." You know. I'm just saying that at the end of your life, you really realize what's important, you know. And that's why I try to think about if I was dying as an old man today, you know, like what do I really think is important? And because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be 80 years old someday and be like, I've got 40 kids someplace.
Jesus.
I don't have enough time to get around there and actually apologize. Like, this isn't My Name is Earl, you know. My Name is Earl, but with kids. I don't know. But yeah, dude, I'm excited for you. Honestly, I know we just met or anything, but if you have any questions or you know your other family members or your goddamn mom isn't calling you back, and you're shrinking for whatever reason is under a bridge doing heroin, and you don't have anyone else to talk to, you can definitely call me and be like, hey, you know, here's what happened with my dad who called me the other day. Yeah, dude. Anytime you want to do that, you can. Provided that I'm not under the bridge doing heroin, because then I'll be like, here, your client is on the phone. You know?
What if all three of us are under the bridge doing heroin? You, me, and my shrink.
Well, then we'll just make a fire and have some s'mores. You know, how about that?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's a very nice offer, and you're the first. I haven't told a lot of people about this, but you're the first person who I have told who sort of had an opinion to speak on and offer a perspective that no one else has given yet. So that's very interesting.
Well, good, and I'm trying to not be like rude about it because I don't know your story or anything. That's just what I would think, you know. And you can do whatever you want with that. You can text your dad and say, you know, eat rocks or something. I don't know what people say, but yeah, it's up to you. It's whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take the call.
Okay.
And we will see where it goes. And that's all. You know, it's that's really all I can do right now is just wait for the phone call to come in and then
you have to wait for him to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to be yeah. You do need to wait for him to do it. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not calling him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's pride or ego, but there's just something. There's something about. I think. I don't know.
Well, because he's wronged you, you haven't wronged him, and so it will all feel fake if you call him, and even if he is kind about it, it'll still feel fake because it's like I had to then still call you. He has to go address to you and say, hey, I'm about to look like a shitty person, but I need you to know that whatever, yada yada, you know. That's really important whenever someone's making up the fact that they did somebody else wrong. It has to start with them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could call it like the 48 Laws of Power or whatever, but that's just the way it is, you know.
Someone else, I had a guest on Thursday night, and he's reading that book right now. He's on Law 17, and he was telling me he might not finish it because he feels like it's corrupting him.
It's corrupting people, yeah.
He was like, I read it thinking it was like I picked it up thinking it was like a self-betterment book.
No.
But he's like, as I'm reading these laws, really all I'm getting out of it is that to get ahead and to get said power is I have to treat everyone else like garbage, and I'm only looking out for number one, and everyone else is basically irrelevant.
Yeah, it's sinister, and that's why I was telling you the 48 Laws of Power thing, because it's actually the opposite of that. Somebody, because he has the power in the situation, he doesn't have to call you. He's the one who's wronged you, you know. Mm-hmm. So like he has to kind of relinquish his power by then calling you, and that's how you really know that he has come back around, and you can trust what he says.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
Trust. Yeah. But yeah, I think that 48 Laws of Power book is a demonic piece of work. And have you ever seen the guy that wrote it?
No.
One of the
Just like what he looks like?
Oh yeah. One of the most hideous incel people you'll ever see in your life. And it's this guy that's like looks like a garden gnome troll that's talking about like, here's how you can be powerful and pull women. You know, it's just the most nonsensical thing you've ever seen.
Is it Robert Greene?
That's the guy.
Robert. We're going to do this in real time. Maybe the audience is looking it up too, where I'm looking them up.
Garden Gnome Troll. That's what I'm telling you.
This guy on the left.
Yeah, but that's an old photo of him. Let me look up Robert Greene podcast. There,
Podcast.
that's the guy. That's the photo. Not so flattering now, is it?
Oh my.
Garden gnome troll.
Oh my. He was on Diary of a CEO. Why was he on that? Well, it's probably for the same reason I would have. Who was it? Oh, I was shooting the shit with someone the other day. You ever heard of that sex cult, the Children of God?
Never heard of it, and it's a sex cult called the Children of God.
Yeah. So I had one of their someone who escaped the cult on the podcast about a year and a half ago.
Cool.
And it was really interesting how she started the episode, because she said, you have to realize that we're, sometimes in life, not everything is black and white. And on the forefront, the Children of God is a missionary organization that spends the bulk of their time trying to educate other people on who God is and bring them and show them the love of Christ. And so that way they can, live a better life.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, we are something completely different, where we're not really practicing what we preach, so to speak. But the way she talked about the organization, there's one guy whose name I'm forgetting at the top, and he was able to convince 180,000 people across multiple continents to all buy into this group called the Children of God. And I think that would be a crazy interview. He's dead now, so I'll never get to meet him. No one will get to meet him. But I'm just bringing that up because I was like, oh, why'd Stephen Bartlett have this monster on his podcast? For the same reason that I would love to get to know someone who was able to accomplish something, but instead of using that influence to better the world, they use that influence to make the world worse. The problem is, I don't think he would have a genuine conversation with me. True. I don't think he would open up in the way that I would want him to, because if he was still alive and I did get him on this show, he's going to be coming on as the character that he is putting on. He's not going to come on as Nick Hartley. He's going to come on as the leader of the Children of God.
I hope he doesn't come on as Nick Hartley. That would be a really bad character.
Sorry, I didn't mean to use your name.
I think you'd be able to see through him, though, and you could probably do the whole, he probably would never do it. He would only do it if he didn't think that you would kind of see through him, because then afterwards you could be like, well, look, he was doing this here. This is my own opinion of what I heard from him, and I didn't trust this. I didn't trust that. I didn't trust whatever that he said. But it would be really neat to watch somebody like kind of spin. I think that's what you're going for, is like watching somebody work their magic. Like, that's a very unique thing to see somebody kind of wield that power over and then still not succumb to it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and I do think I would be able to break him down a little bit.
For sure.
Like, I feel like I remember, I had a couple on, or at least the wife came over for one guy's episode, and probably 45 to 50 minutes into the episode, he was telling me about a time that he almost attempted to take his own life. And that is not why I invited him on the show, but I was really glad that we got to that point. And after we turned off the recording, I got us one more round of drinks, and they sat and we just talked and hung out for 45 minutes or so. And his wife said, she's like, this is really interesting how you can break people down, because he's never spoken about that publicly, and you just got him to tell a perfect stranger while on a microphone. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Yeah. And so I still would want to talk to him, to your point, where I think I could potentially cut through the bullshit a little bit and get him to really talk about why did you do this?
Yeah. Because he would probably be like, well, I mean, sometimes you have a talent you're really good at, and I was just good at my talent, but really, what did you actually enjoy, And he would be like, I liked lording my power over people. I like standing beneath the wreckage of these emails. Something fun. I don't know, but yeah, I would watch the hell out of that. That would be awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go, because it was wildly off topic.
Well, I like stuff like that. Have you ever seen Richard? I think his name is Richard Kuklinski. They call him the Iceman. Mm-mm. He was supposedly one of the most I guess successful hitman, because it had very unique brain chemistry where he was a psychopath, but most times psychopaths have an ego with them as well. He was a psychopath without so much of the ego problem. So he could go home, have a normal family, and all of his kills were super clean and to the point, and that's why he was never caught really for a long time. Whereas, like most serial killers, they get in their own way because they're enjoying the act. He never got any enjoyment from it, but he just never felt bad from it either. So he was able to just like talk to people normally. He could go home without his conscience being completely destroyed, or you know. And it's a very interesting documentary of just kind of watching this guy have the most unique brain chemistry to be able to do these sinister things. And I find that stuff very fascinating. Obviously, I don't think you should have him on the podcast, you know,
No.
because he'd be like, all right, well, and now.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd have to get some of the military guys I've had on the show and be like, hey, I actually need some bodyguards for an episode. Could you guys get your biggest guns and come on over for this one?
If I remember right, the way he got caught was there was a guy in whatever gang he was in that he was about to kill, and he was instructed to kill him. And so that guy was an undercover cop. And normally he wouldn't tell anybody this stuff, but he was like, this guy's about to die anyways. So to make him feel better about like his situation, I'll tell him something that you probably wouldn't tell somebody unless they're about to die. And so he's like, yeah, just to kind of make him feel calmer, because these are bad people, right? Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, he's endearing himself to me. He's telling about ripping limb from limb or whatever. And that guy happened to have a wire, and he got busted that very second, you know. Otherwise, that guy was dead, you know. But I find that stuff really interesting. I'm basically a middle-aged woman sometimes. I like all that NCIS and mentalist stuff. You know?
It was funny. One of my buddies challenged his girlfriend to go 30 days without listening to anything true crime related, because she feels like over the last couple months her anxiety has sort of been skyrocketing a little bit. But he said he would wake up at like 7:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And he'd roll out of bed to go use the bathroom, and he'd walk in the bathroom, and she'll be in the shower, and she'll have the phone on the counter next to the shower, and the podcast will be talking about like, and then he ripped him limb from limb right before he ate his liver.
Yeah.
And he's just like, babe, like,
it's 7:30 on a Sunday. What are we doing?
Yeah.
We're about to go to church.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so funny. You'll hear people are like, I don't know why my anxiety's been bad. I've had 14 cups of coffee, and all I listen to is true crime all day. You know? It's crazy. Yeah. And then I get on the freeway and I drive 100 miles an hour, and you don't know why you're anxious. Yeah.
Are rugby players, do they generally have big legs?
It depends on who you are. A lot of rugby players don't have big legs. At the pros, it's more common. You know, so like if you're a prop, if you're an 8-man, do you know about rugby?
Nothing.
Okay, so imagine a scrum. There's 3, there's 4, and then there's an 8-man. I think that math works out right. 3, 7, and then an 8-man, which is the guy on the back. So your props are going to be your big guys. They're going to be like, they usually have huge legs. And then your locks are the guys in the middle in the second row, and they're usually very tall, very lanky. And then your flankers on the outside are just kind of like, if you could think of a defensive lineman, like a D end, those guys are usually brick shit houses, you know. And then your 8-man's also brick shit house. And outside of that, you might have an outside back or an inside back that has big legs, but a lot of times your full back, your fly half, like the positions I played, the scrum half, the wingers, those guys are usually going to be a lot smaller and faster, you know. But yeah, for wearing those tiny little short shorts, you would think they would have big legs, you know. But
well, I asked because you're not even wearing like very tight pants, and I feel like your legs are pretty big, man.
No, very small.
Are they?
Very small, especially compared to like professional standards, or even in college, I had small thighs. Yeah, I'm just. I guess I'm just getting fat. I don't know.
Well, I try to pay you a compliment. I do what I can.
Sorry, I'm not good at taking them. But not good at taking them.
Bam!
But,
I refuse it.
But yeah, no, they don't have. What positions I played don't really have big legs. But yeah, we haven't talked about rugby a lot today.
You know what the interesting thing is about this podcast is almost 100% of the time I invite someone on, I say, hey, you want to come on and talk about how you scaled an ad agency to $1 million in 2 years, and then he comes over, and before we know it, he's talking about how he got a girlfriend pregnant in college, and he was so mad that he moved to the other side of the U.S. and he didn't talk about he didn't meet his kid until his kid was 6 years old, and that's why I think I'm so addicted to the shows. I just never know what direction. I'm lying to the guests. I say I want to talk about rugby, and then I never bring it up.
It's pretty funny, but that's to your credit, because it's like you were saying earlier with that guy that told you about his suicide or whatever. You just have a unique ability of getting people to share what's true to them, and what's true to them isn't the fact that he built this or scaled up a company. Yeah, that's true or whatever, but that's not them. That's just something they've done. And I played professional rugby. I did the stock thing for a while. I do comedy, but that's not me. Like me is I'm just somebody who cares about family, and I'm somebody who I like art, and I like people. I like people a lot. So, and you pull that out of people really well, which is really cool. And probably why I think this podcast is going to do really well in the future, because especially if you have somebody like a Shane Gillis or a famous person out there, people are going to get to see a side of them that they don't normally see. Like if Elon Musk came on here, I'd love to see him be like, yeah, rockets. And you're like, no. Let's talk about Elon. You know? And I think that would be really cool.
I won't say the podcast. Thank you so much for that compliment. That there's nothing kinder you could say to me.
I was waiting for the thank you. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, he waited 5 seconds to say it. No.
Thank you. No, Nick, that was very kind of you.
Well, good. I meant it. I really did.
I did see Ed Sheeran. I'm not going to name the podcast because I'm not on here to dox anybody, but he went on a rather big show in the last year, and I really like his music. But I realized I was like, I don't really know anything about Ed as a person, and so I listened to the podcast, and I got to tell you, man, this podcast is a big show, and it was one of the most boring conversations I've ever watched, because it was the classic questions like, how do you come up with the titles for this song, and I've heard you guys like to drink this kind of beer in Ireland, and I was just like, can you ask anything of meaning? Like, why? What are we doing?
Yeah, none of that matters, and that's very service level, and some people like that, but it doesn't tickle my fancy at all.
I felt like I didn't know Ed. I was like, I don't know Ed any better. All I know now is his favorite kind of beer, so I guess I'll know what I'll have in the fridge if he ever comes on.
I'm having a Corona tonight. All right.
What kind of beer do you like?
Oh man, I used to only like Busch Heavy, because we had that a lot back home. But now I've gotten into IPAs, and I don't like that I've gotten into IPAs, because I'm recognizing that I'm now an old man. The IPAs is an old man drink, and something about it. I tried it one time. I was like, I don't like those, and they're like, just have it. And I was like, God damn it. I like the hell out of this. And so that's all I really drink now is IPAs.
Well, if you ever come back on the show for a round 2, I will have some IPAs in the fridge.
Okay. Yeah, I will actually. Yeah, that sounds fun. But only for the IPAs. That's it.
And Thad. You probably would want to see Thad again.
Oh, yeah. Thad, he's a beautiful dog.
He's a very handsome boy. I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it to you anyways, because it's one of 7, and I want to go through the whole list.
Okay.
Do you have, and I'll tell you why I'm asking these questions after we answer them.
Okay, cool.
Do you have an immigrant mentality, meaning people who have moved away from their hometown or even moved away from their home country?
Okay, do you want short answers?
Let's do short, unless you feel like the longer answer adds some. It's a nice juicy steak of an answer.
Yes, I think I do have immigrant mentality, because I'm not from a city place at all, and I feel a little out of place sometimes, and I definitely like going home. Like, I'm the only professional athlete from my hometown. That's not a high bar. There is only one, and hopefully there will be several more, but it's just so little people. So it's like when I do go back home, people were kind of asking like, well, what's Nick doing? I didn't know Nick was doing comedy. I didn't know Nick was playing professional rugby. And so it's like word spreads fast, and if it ever comes back, it's like Nick no longer does this or that. I definitely feel like I have people that I have to, succeed for, but I really don't care if they do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my answer on that. Yes.
Do you feel people can never or rarely guess your opinions? For example, a boxer that writes poetry, the advertiser obsessed with the history of war. In other words, your beliefs don't line up with the stereotypes of a comic/rugby player.
Yes and no. I mean, definitely on like, rugby and comedy, I think they can guess my beliefs pretty well. But whenever it comes to politics and religion, I mean, we already had that religious talk earlier. And I think most people would look at me and they would say, they would be like, well, there's somebody who's really strong in his faith or whatever, and that's just not necessarily me all the time. So I would say no, more on the no side.
This is a fun one because we haven't talked about your younger years too much. Did you have any weird hobbies between the ages of 0 and 18?
Oh yeah, I don't know if this is a hobby, but I crinkle paper sometimes.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, tell me, what do you mean?
Like receipt paper, I like to take it and I just crinkle it. Like, is there any piece of paper you don't want ruined? Or, like, I'll do this. I used to get in trouble for this in school all the time, where I'll just go around the corner like this. There's nothing I love more than this. This is what I would consider B grade paper, receipt grade paper. That's S tier. But I like the little pop that happens from it, and sometimes I'll just sit at home and I'll just do this for a little bit, and I enjoy that. Also, I like model trains.
Model trains?
Model trains.
Model trains.
That's the mush mouth coming out. Like I said. Model trains, yeah. But I'll do this a lot, and I'll go around and just do all the curves on it. And I don't know why. I remember doing this whenever I was a kid to my pillowcase, and then it seems to be whenever I'm not thinking.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I will tell you in a second why I'm laughing. Please continue. I'm so sorry.
It's an obnoxious thing, but yeah, my teachers used to have to give me an extra piece of paper because if I was focused really hard on the test or whatever, I would just inherently do that to the corner of the page, and then before you know it, the whole test was just torn to shreds. But I could do this. I could do this all day. My friends hate me too because I'm like, hey, you done with that receipt?
To this day.
To this day, they're like, yes, you can have my receipt, you fucking weirdo.
You taught any of your kids this? The ones you're working with currently? You've ever been like, hey, you want to come crinkle some paper with me?
I've never had a kid want to crinkle paper, but our kids have some pretty unique stuff they like to do.
I started laughing because when I was a kid, like probably, I don't know when this habit kicked. I'd have to text my mom, but she won't text me back, so we're not getting the answer. But I used to, at dinner time when I was done eating, I felt like I was always the quickest eater, but we're not allowed to leave the table until everyone's done.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is I would take my little paper napkin and I'd unfold it and I would start throwing it up in the air, and I'd play this game where I'd keep whacking it like it couldn't touch the table.
Hell yeah.
And all my siblings thought it was funny, and my parents hated it. They'd be like, "Stop that!" I'd be like, "Let me leave the fucking table."
Yeah, right.
I'm so bored. I'm so bored.
Yeah. That's fun, dude.
Are you getting mad at me entertaining myself with this little napkin we were just gonna throw away anyways?
The dinner table is sacred.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I remember that dinner table conversations, being like, well, we have to sit here. And then my parents got divorced, and I was like, all right, no more of that. No more of that. Just eat in my room and be mad. Yeah. But anyways, I will stop being weird here. I just got a few more left to do. Sorry, did you want me to crinkle it up?
I wanted you to do whatever makes you happy.
Okay.
I told you I was done with it.
Okay, good. Good, because it's unusable now. So
I'll put it. I have a little. You can't see it, but there's a fireplace in that corner.
Okay.
So if it ever gets to be fucking winter around here, and I
perfect. Perfect for you.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you were going to frame it, and I was like, please don't do that. Don't have a memoriam for my weird acts.
Well, you know what I've had for about 2 years is my buddy Keaton. He's the front desk employee at a gym down the road, and he's a very, very good human being. And one day while I was working out, he was eating an orange, and when he was done with the orange, he got a Sharpie, and he drew a little smiley face on it. And on my way out of the gym, he gave it to me,
nice.
And I've kept it, and it's now dried up, and it's like gone from like being like that big to like it's shriveled down to like that big. And when I saw it the other day, I was like, oh man, this thing's just gonna spontaneously combust, like it's gonna keep shriveling and just disappear one day. But he came over about a year and a half later, and when he came over, I was like, hey, come look at my bookshelf. I have something to show you. And he comes in, and he's like, why the fuck did you keep that? And I was like, because people don't really give me things that often. It was nice of you. He's like, it was an orange with a smiley face on it.
That's pretty funny. He's like, I didn't mean for you to think it was a cool thing to do. It's actually trying to weird you out, sir.
And then I weirded him out even more by keeping it.
That's very funny.
Do you have anyone in your life where you may be mean to them to their face, but nice to them behind their back?
Probably my younger sister. Because, I think you heard how I talk about her right here, but every time I call her, I've done this ever since I've been a kid, but the first thing I'll say to her, I was like, "What's up, fatso?" I'll leave her voicemails, and I'll be like, "Hey, I got your insulin medication, and I don't know why you keep sending your diabetes stuff over here, but because you have diabetes because you're a fat monstrous pig. You know about that stuff, Morgan?" And then we'll have a conversation, and I'll verbally berate her for an hour or so, and then behind closed doors, I'm just like, Morgan is one of the best people, one of the most kind people in the world. And she has such a strong faith and everything. And even my mom, whenever I was a kid, she's like, "You can't be calling your sister fat. That's rude. That's mean." And I was like, my sister doesn't care about that. She'll know when she's actually fat because I'll stop calling her fat, And then that's when I'll call her fat more, because I'll be like, "Morgan, obviously I wouldn't call you fat if you were fat." "Oh, thank you. That's very kind."
You're welcome. Do you want anything other than that?
"No, this is fine."
Okay.
Good here. But yeah, I definitely very mean to her to her face.
That was, I don't know if you could tell by the door hinge laughter that you extracted from me, but that was the last thing I was expecting.
Yeah, I call my sister fat every day I talk to her. It's just a fun thing that we do.
Okay. That's a definite yes. We're on number 5. Do you think there's anyone in your life who you would call for help if you were stuck in a third world dungeon or on an island? Mm-hmm. If yes, who is it that you would call?
Well,
Grandpa?
No. No chance. He would be like, "How am I going to get over there? You should call someone else." But I have my buddy Kyle who's in the military. When he was in high school, he won some international junior judo tournament. He's a badass all through and through, And he's in the military. If anybody had the clearance to do that. The problem is that some bitch doesn't answer my phone calls. So I don't know if I'd actually call him.
What did you call him?
Some bitch.
You said that. You took son of a bitch. You took 4 words and turned them into one.
Some bitch, yeah. That's right. That's that Missouri mushmouth I keep talking about. But, he's the guy I would call for sure. And I know he would drop it. At the drop of a hat, he would definitely go do that. Me and him went on a lot of adventures. Like when I turned 21, he kidnapped me. And I mean legitimately kidnapped me, and put me in his truck, and we drove to North Dakota from Missouri in the middle of winter. My birthday is December 31st, so it's literally the middle of winter. No need to write that down. Don't send me a gift. But either way,
of all the things I wrote, the times that you've seen me jotting something down about your race, I've made so many notes today, and that's the first one where you're like, don't put that in writing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep
good.
Going.
But he basically, his truck had like the what am I trying to say? The metal where your feet are was rusted out, so there's like a hole in his truck. You can see the road as you're driving through. And so we're driving North Dakota in the coldest weather you can imagine. The heat's on blast. This truck's got a spark plug that's not working, so a cylinder's not firing. And we're just trucking along, going to North Dakota for whatever reason on my birthday. It's 40 degrees in that car, easy. And I just woke up from going to bed, and he knows the code to my house. He walked in, he stole me, and then we left. And he just always does really cool stuff like that. And we hung out in North Dakota for a while. Granted, it kind of backfired on me because at this point, my sister was in the hospital with cancer, and we're in the middle of COVID, So, and I didn't think of that. Otherwise, I probably would have told no, and he would have understood. But basically, that's probably why he kidnapped me too, just because of everything that was going on. and I always appreciate him for that because I had to get out of there, and I got up there. My mom called me, and my uncles called me. And he said, "You could be getting COVID. You're gonna give us COVID, and then your sister, she's in the hospital. She's immunocompromised." I was like, "Oh, you're right."
Yeah, she's fat, so she was, you know,
Big Tubs, we call her. But, yeah, Big Tubs. But so I ended up being stranded up there for a little bit because, he was poor at the time and I was poor. And I didn't really have a way to get home because I wasn't able to rent a car. And I wasn't able to get on a plane or a bus. And I sure as hell wasn't walking back. It's too far, and it was also way too cold. And so I was like, "Oh, I'm just stuck up here until Morgan's free of cancer. Who knows when that's going to be?" And so I ended up scrounging some money. I worked at a water park for a little bit, and then I was able to pay Kyle to drive me back, which was really cool.
So what was the total time you guys were there? Do you remember?
I made a lot of money in a very short amount of time. By a lot of money, I made like $150. So I was there for 4 or 5 days, but I only really found out about the thing on the third day because my ex babysitter called me because it was my birthday. She's like, "Hey, I'm sorry I missed your birthday. How are you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing great. I'm actually in North Dakota right now." And I thought I could tell her because,
Trust.
well, trust.
Yeah.
And then also, like, she didn't talk to my mom. Well, apparently she called my mom and was like, "What is Nick doing in North Dakota?" And I haven't talked to her since. And I don't know if she's ashamed of what happened or whatever. But I just have no reason to talk to her. But she kind of outed me. And then my mom ripped me limb from limb for that. But that's always a really fun story. We've done 1,000 things like that.
I did enjoy that story. That made me sort of wish one of my friends had done something insane like
Kidnapped
that.
you? Yeah.
Tyler, my buddy Tyler could. I don't know if you saw, there's a lockbox outside the front door with the key in it, and he's the only one who knows the password. And I don't even really know. Well, I do know why I did it. It was because in my head, going back to like the skydiving gone wrong story, if God forbid something ever happens to me, I want someone to have very easy access to Thad. And Tyler is his dad's godfather.
Hell yeah.
I guess
No,
you
of
could
course.
call him. So
Caretaker, godfather, doesn't matter.
whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Todd can't feed himself, so.
No, he can't. He can't do anything himself. I love him so much, but he's not the smartest dog he's very much just here because we love each other and we found each other, and I committed to taking care of him until he grows old and passes. So that's where we're at.
Well, all I heard was get a job, Thad.
Yeah, dude.
Get a job.
Do you feel you can change the energy in a room when you enter it?
No. Not at all.
You did today?
I think I said. Well, I think you did that. I succumb to whatever energy is in the room. It's one of my downfalls. If everybody in there is sad, I'll be sad with them. If everybody in there is happy, I'll be happy with them. But I'm not someone to change. Who am I to try to change your mindset or anything like that? I go into things the way they are. I walk in, and everyone's sad, and I go, "Okay, well, let's talk about it. Why are we sad?" Oh, that makes me sad too. No, that makes me happy as well. I'm very much like that. So the answer to your question is no. I do not change the energy of the room.
I do think it's interesting, though, that you said I don't try to, because I didn't ask do you try to change the energy in the room. I asked if it's just something that naturally happens when you walk in a room. Your answer can still be no. I'm not trying to convince you to say yes. I just wanted to make sure you understood that you might have that effect without realizing it, because I don't think it's an actionable thing. I think it's something that there are some people, like I think of one of my professors in college. She was just such a happy, energetic person that I sort of liked going to her class because I was like, oh, we get to hang out with Kim for 45 minutes today. Woohoo! You know? So I think it's something that you either have or you don't have. And if you feel like you don't have it, that's fine.
So then I guess my answer to your question there is if the room is sad, it stays sad. If the room is happy, it goes sad. No, I don't really know. But I think maybe, yeah. It depends on who I'm with. If I'm with my best friend Mason or Kyle or anybody, I think, yeah, I can change the room in that case. But if I'm with people that I hate.
Well, hopefully that's not happening too often.
Mhm.
Stuck in a room full of people you hate.
Well, have you ever tried doing stand-up comedy in Austin, Texas? A
No.
lot of people, a lot of people that are just. Well, you can delete that from the episode. But no,
Nope.
good people, all of them, every last one of them. There's not a soul in this scene that I wouldn't expunge.
There's always one or a
Yeah,
hundred in every
there's
city.
yeah.
You don't have to like
100%.
everyone, and not everyone has to like you. And it is interesting when I see someone go to a comedy show in a bad mood, because I've seen that a few times.
Yeah.
And I've always just wondered, like, of all the things that you could do, and I have gone when I'm in a bad mood, but I'm going because I'm trying to lift my own spirits, because I always feel better when you laugh.
Yeah.
I think there's even some science behind it, that when you laugh, like, some sort of thing is released and your brain actually gets like in a better state. But
Yeah.
I have seen some people almost appear to go to comedy shows as if their intent is to ruin them, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you?
Some comedians like those people because they're like, okay, now I have a challenge. I'm focusing all my stuff on that person. That is the person I'm trying to get to laugh, trying to get them to crack open. I don't think I like that too. I'm not the best at cracking those people open, but I definitely want everyone to show up happy and wanting to laugh for sure. It makes my job easier, you know. But I know some comedians that are like, yeah, it was a good show. And I'm like, dude, you killed. And he's like, yeah, it was just fun. It was okay. You know, but then they'll have a show that they don't necessarily do as well, but like, that was awesome. I love that because I got that one person to crack open. And you know they came in just arms crossed, just like, I don't want to laugh. I want to be here and be mad, you know, and then they laugh. And that's really what we're doing here, you know. That's what I think the best comedy is whenever you make someone who does not want to laugh really hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That must feel amazing.
Wouldn't know what it's like. Couldn't tell you, you know. But no, I think I've done it a few times, you know.
We'll come back to comedy in a second, but we're very close to the end of this. Let me ask you the last one. Do you have courage of your conviction? In other words, if someone, if someone watching or you is not familiar with that phrase, does Nick have the confidence to do what Nick thinks is right, even when those observing may not agree or approve?
Yeah, I think so. The question is whether. So yeah, I don't care about money. I don't really care about being well liked or anything like that. But there's some times where I have to weigh in my head. I'm like, do I really need to tell this person what I think, or is this just something that I should keep to myself? And so I guess to answer your question, the conviction only comes around whenever I think it's something that's really worthwhile. Like, I get this way about abortion. I've made a lot of enemies on abortion, you know, and I'm gonna die on that hill. But either way, and I don't know how your opinion is on it. I think it's terrible, and a lot of people disagree with me, and I've made a lot of enemies because of that, you know. But I'm willing to debate anybody on it, and so I would say yes to that question.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is basically just 7 questions that sort of help gauge if you're a high agency person, a low agency person, or somewhere in the middle. Have you ever heard of this concept
Never.
before? So low agency people are the kind of people where they say, life happens to me. Something happens that's maybe bad, and it's like, oh, I'm such a victim. My dad never talks to me. Poor me.
Yeah.
High agency people more take on an attitude of, I happen to life, and I have the ability to enact change. And since you said, I felt like I knew this about you coming into this today, but you answered yes to 6 of the 7 questions. So that would indicate, apparently, that you're someone who is more so, you're intentional about your life. And with where you're at today, it's because you have taken certain actions and responsibilities over your story, and that is why you are where you're at.
Well, I appreciate that. I didn't know that's where you're going with it. I would have answered no to all of those. I just said,
Why? Why would you say that?
I don't know, because I don't think I've ever been accused of being a responsible person, you know. But I appreciate that. I guess you could probably tell from me right now, I have probably a little lower opinion of myself than I probably should. But it's only because I have a bit of a perfectionistic mindset, you know. And yeah, I'm glad you did that, because now I kind of got to go home and rethink, like, maybe I should give myself a little more grace. Or maybe I'm a dirty liar. Who knows? Maybe I'm just a dirty liar. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun on this podcast. I really have. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
All right, we're done.
Okay.
No, do you want to end it?
Not at
wrap
all.
It up?
It sounded like an ending though, but not at all. I was trying to have a smooth end.
Well, actually, it's funny you asked because I was just going to tell you it's 5:23, and out of respect for your time, because I don't know what you want to get done before you go to Narbar tonight, what time you would like to end by. So we could wrap it up here since we know you're going to come back. I would ask just 2 more questions if you want to go for
absolutely.
a few more minutes.
Yeah, I've got oodles of time until like 10 p.m. So.
All right. Comedy. What a hard job, I would imagine. I would never want to do it. Isaac thinks I should try. I told him no. But it's got to be the hardest job on planet Earth. You went to school for engineering, you have a background in rugby, and here you are working with autistic kids during the day and doing comedy at night. Why are you doing comedy at night, Nick?
Early on, I would tell you that I did comedy because I got tired of people thinking that, like, I would have an opinion and people would think I was crazy for such an opinion. And then I would watch people like Bill Burr and I would watch people like Norm Macdonald, and they seemed to kind of go against the grain and have these opinions get out there, and people loved them for it, whether they agreed with them or not. And I sort of got addicted to that idea of having my faults end up being my strengths, you know. And I really like the idea of that. And the more I do comedy, the more I realize that's not why you should start comedy, and that's not why you should do comedy. Your point of doing comedy is to make people laugh. End point. That's it. And so that's one of the things that I'm really working on right now is like trying to take myself out of it and just think about like what can I do that is going to cause the most laughs, you know? Because I mean, I do want to say how I feel about stuff, and I want to do it in such a way where people are like, you know what, I may not agree with them, but damn it, that was funny and that was a good point, you know. But it's, you know, it's not something that's really feasible for somebody at my level, at my stage. And it is a hard job early, but it's a really easy job later. Dude, I know some comedians who are higher up than I am. Their job is so easy that people love them. They go to shows, they already know them. They can say whatever they want, and people are like, you know what? But he said it, so it's cool, you know. And I'm like, dude, if I tried to do that joke, they would massacre me. They would absolutely massacre me. But so I think it is an easy job when you get to the end. Like Mark Norman compares it to a video game. It's the opposite of a video game. You see, because when you get to the end of a video game, that's the hardest level. That's the final boss. But comedy only gets easier the longer that you do it. Because you make more connections, you get more stage time, you get better at it, and then all of a sudden you don't have to work with autistic kids every day, which I love doing, by the way. You could just wake up at noon every day, go do 8 or 9 spots, get even better, make a lot of money, and then you can get on any show you want. You don't have to like go and network and be friends with people and sell your soul to it a little bit. And they have the ability where if they want to cancel a show and go see their family, they can. I don't really have that ability right now. And to be honest with you, sometimes I get worried about that because I'm like, I love my grandpa so much. If he were to die, I'd be really sad, and I'd be like, why did I ever start comedy? You know, but I know he's going to die someday. And so really what I'm trying to do right now, and this is kind of lame, is I'm trying to get famous before he dies. I'm trying to get good before he dies so, you know, he can just see me succeed, you know, which I would like. I would really like that. So yeah, was that your original question?
You answered it.
Okay.
I was watching an episode of Kill Tony last night, and if you want to see the scene in full of what I'm about to reference, I'll send it. I forget what episode
was it the most recent one?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say I was about to brag on one of my friends, but
who was your friend though? Because I did watch the most recent one.
Mason Bird.
What's he look like?
Big fat redhead, biggins, chunky.
Maybe I didn't see that one.
Yeah, he just got a golden ticket. Did you see the one beforehand, J.J. Alexander?
Yeah.
Big fat blondie. So, yeah, he's also a good friend of mine. Very funny guy. He just got a golden ticket. as well.
I'm sure if I pulled it back up and looked, I would remember.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I say I'm watching Kill Tony, it's more like Kill Tony's on in the background, and I'm vacuuming, I'm answering emails, and so I don't always know like faces or names. But if you were to like, and I'm not asking you to do this, but if you did like your buddy's minute right now, I'd be like, oh, of course I remember that guy.
So JJ's the glasses on, glasses off guy.
Yeah, he was good.
He's great.
Thank you.
He's
See,
fantastic.
I remember now.
Yeah. And then Mason Bird is the lime scooter guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's funny too.
Both of those guys, some of my best friends here, Mason's from Detroit, and JJ is from Colorado. So they've all kind of come down here. We have like our own little, Midwest kind of a vibe about us. They're some of my favorite people. Hilarious, super funny. Love them to death. But yeah, definitely if you have an opportunity, Mason Bird and JJ are people you should have on this podcast because they're, especially Mason, he's got a lot of stories. That guy, he's very good.
All right, I'll reach out to him.
You should.
I'll name drop you.
Name drop, yeah. I mean, that's what Fern did for me, so I can only give back,
Oh, did he tell you to come on?
Well, no, Fern said that he name dropped me to you. You had Fern on, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a liar. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
No, what happened was I told him I'm having Nick Hartley on, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Nick's a really good dude. You'll enjoy that episode." Hopefully, he says yes, or maybe I'm forgetting. I'm not trying to bash a friend of mine that I love and adore. So
I probably misinterpreted it. That's my bad. But
maybe he did tell me about you. I don't know. Sorry, Fern, if I'm
I think
misquoting
his
you.
actual words were, "I got you this gig. Be thankful." I think is what. No, that's not what he said. He said, "Get down on your knees, suckle."
It was the episode with Louis J. Gomez, episode 714. It was about 5 months ago.
Oh.
My whole point of bringing this up is that Ari Maddie did a bit, and there's a guy who bombed way earlier in the show, and he was like, "I'm nervous," and Ari was like, "Honestly, you can tell he's a young comedian because I lean into the nervousness. Like, even though people love to see me on stage, like I was nervous coming out tonight, but I lean into it, and I get like an adrenaline rush from the nerves." And so I thought it was just, even if you're not a comic, I feel like all of us in life have these moments where our nerves just swell up, and I thought it was such a good piece of advice. Instead of getting scared by them, that be like your fucking rocket fuel, where you're just like, "Let's go! I got this podcast with Nick Hartley. I'm a little nervous. I wasn't nervous to meet you at all. You're good vibes." But I just thought it was such a great perspective that what caused one comedian to just completely derail his entire opportunity is, this other comedian who's seeing wild success. His quote unquote secret, is that I'm leaning into that fear.
Right. And in the comedy world, we call that the clutch gene, and they call that in the sports world too, the clutch gene.
The clutch gene.
Yeah. Can you be clutch whenever everything's against you and you need to do it? Can you pull a Tom Brady, or are you going to be a Mark Sanchez? You're going to butt fumble that son of a bitch. Yeah. So that's really it's the clutch gene, and some people have it, some people don't. I mean, I've had it, and I've also not had it. I have a lot of stories doing sports where I didn't have it, and I have a fair amount where I did. So I'm still trying to, but my buddy Mason's got that clutch gene through and through. Kid's raw. But he played football as well. He's a good athlete as well.
We're going to talk about this on your return episode. I'm just making a note to myself because I have Alzheimer's, maybe because of the autism. So that was so funny, dude. How determined are you to make it big before your grandpa dies? What would you be willing to sacrifice to turn this idea into reality?
Probably like one night of drinking or something like that.
That's a big wow.
No,
you're really determined.
No, I think the irony of it is that I'm sacrificing time with my grandpa in order to do that, which it makes me go like, well, what's really worth it, But what am I willing to sacrifice? Would I give my left leg? Well, giving my left leg would make me inherently funnier. Would I be 555 pounds rolling up on a scooter? That would make me 10 times funnier. I mean, I would give all that up just because it would ensure that I would succeed, But I don't know what I would give up. Would I sacrifice my sister on the lam? No, I wouldn't. So I don't really know how to answer that question, but I'm trying.
All right, let's frame it a different way. We'll go back to the first sentence I said. Scale of 1 to 10. We'll go real easy at this.
Okay.
Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being if you fail and go back to engineering, whatever. 10 being like it has to happen. How determined are you to make comedy happen? Where are you at?
9.5.
9.5.
9.5. Because I probably could already go back to engineering, and I'm just not going to. I'm going to do this until I die because I've done enough things that haven't worked out for me that aren't my lifelong thing, and this is something that you can do lifelong. And I just have this thought in my mind that if I just keep doing it, good things are going to happen. Like my dad has this phrase he says all the time. He goes, "Something's got to give." Whether it's, and it can be in either way. If it's you being lazy, something's got to give. If it's you being, working every day and nothing's coming from it, something's got to give. Eventually, it's just it's a time thing, and whether that happens fast or slow is completely up to fate. And that's kind of how I feel about comedy, and I know that even after my grandpa's dead, I will do comedy, and I'll be sad if he doesn't get to see me succeed or anything. But I know for a fact that I'm going to do this, and I've just made that decision, and that's what I'm doing with my life now. Because I can't keep doing. I'll try the rugby thing. I'll try the baseball thing. Because I didn't tell you that either, but we didn't have high school baseball when I was a kid, and I love baseball. It's my favorite thing in the world. And I walked onto a college team without really playing high school baseball at all. I played 3 or 4 games in the summer, and that was it. And I thought, well, this is it. I'm going to do baseball. And then I threw out my arm. And then I found the rugby thing. I was really good at that. And I was like, I did that pro, and then it didn't work out. And I did stocks, and then it didn't work out. And I was like, I can't keep quitting things. This is something that I can definitely do. I'll never quit it. I'm just going to keep working at it. And I honestly, I don't need that thought in my head, because if I'm thinking I'll just do this for the rest of my life and that's what I'm doing, my drive goes down, because I'm like, this is just what I do. But there needs to be more urgency, like I have to do this or I will die, I guess. I don't know. I haven't figured it out, obviously. But yeah, so I'm going to do this until I die, essentially. And hey, in 10 years, you'll still see me at Narbar, and we'll be having this conversation, and I'll be like, I should have been an engineer. I should have done it. But no, and I've made peace with that, so it's cool. Yeah. And I assume you feel the same way about this podcast.
I'm at 11.
You're at 11.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a better answer. Why didn't I say 12? Fuck. I thought it was 1 to 10. Yeah. 0. I quit right now. This is my farewell tour.
And I'm sure we'll have those moments too. I've had those. I'm sure you have fleeting thoughts every now and then where you're like, I should give up comedy. And I have had those moments. They're less and less now. But to your Mark Norman video game example, dude, the first 18 months of podcasting, it was so hard. Even just like when my buddy Tyler helped me, build the studio, it was probably around like episode 120, 125, 130.
Wow.
And I'm really happy that it happened at that juncture, because I've seen my own confidence and belief in the podcast evolve through the journey. And if I had released the first episode and got 1 million, plays on it, I don't think I'm curious how that would have changed, like where we're at today.
Right.
I'm glad that the first 18 months is harder, and it's easy to say that because now I'm past it.
For sure.
But dude, there are so many times where I thought about ending this thing. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
And you know what I saw online or whatever, that you're going to do your first live audience podcast thing?
Thank you. What a great, real quick, if you live in Austin, on February 28th at the Austin Public Library downtown at 1 p.m., we are doing our first episode in front of a live audience. The guest is going to be amazing, but it's not just going to be us talking the other time. I have a few surprises for you guys. It will be sort of invite only to a certain extent, and we only have 80 seats, and it's already filling up fast. So if you want to go, email sitbackwithdavid@gmail.com. If you scroll down a little bit, the email will be in the show notes. It's going to be a really good time. I would love to meet some of you in person, so please come out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really cool because it speaks to exactly what you were talking about. The first 18 months sucked, and now you have this kind of like benchmark, this milestone right here that you can be like, all right, I've at least done that. Now we go. Yeah. Now what's next? Yeah. And that's cool, dude. I always like to meet people who are on their way up and, working hard and trying to do something against the grain. I don't know if doing a podcast is against the grain, but doing it well certainly is. I'll say that. Doing it good. Because I had a podcast at one point, and I just said to myself, I don't want to put the work in for this. I have no drive to do this. So if you've got that drive, man, I mean, you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Well, before I close this thing out, to the audience, thank you as always for sticking around. It really truly means the world to me that you guys are listening. We're in over 60 countries at this point, over 600 cities downloading on a regular basis, and it makes me emotional every time I think about it. You guys are tuning in. I love you even though you don't know who you are, and I just hope that these stories are fueling your internal fire so that something can give in your life with whatever it is that you're pursuing. So get after it. With that being said, let's spread these stories to even more people. I need one thing from you. Nick showed up. He did his job. I did my job. I showed up. And now from you, I need you to help us spread this thing. So hit that follow button on Spotify, hit the follow button on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can get these stories to other young men and women throughout the world that need to hear them. Before you go, I just wanted to tell you, I think you have the exact toolkit that you need to be successful in your career. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe there's some days where you don't feel like you're there, but I think you have the ability to figure it out. You have a very good mind. You have very good thoughts.
Oh,
and
thank you.
I think that you can see your own weaknesses and then know or maybe it's not even a weakness, but you can identify things within yourself and then think, is this helping me move forward? Is this slowing me down? Do we need to, maybe it's a good thing, but we just need to modify it a little bit so it operates things a little bit more efficiently. But you're incredibly intuitive, and I think that you're going to go far. So I'm just honored to be part of the journey, and I hope that when you and me both have blown up, we can, continue to have conversations and talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is I was like, we'll be seeing each other in the future for sure.
Yes.
And I think that would be really cool in 20 years to be like, remember that first podcast? Oh my gosh, the things we would have changed, the things I said. I think that thought keeps me going. And
yeah.
I'm really glad to have met you. By the way, your name in my phone is David Saturday. I forgot to ask your last name, but what's your actual last name?
Saturday.
Is it actually?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, wow, I guessed it on the nail.
It's a French name. We had someone adopted into the family or something at some point. It's Eau Claire.
Eau Claire.
Eau Claire.
David Eau Claire. Well, David Eau Claire, I've had a hell of a time with you. You're going to do great things. I'm very excited to see you next.
I think you should leave it David Saturday.
David Saturday?
Yeah.
I think it's a hell of a name. Strong name.
Very strong name.
Yeah. But
before you go, I have one more question for you. And I don't know what the question is because you're going to pick one of these cards.
Oh, hell yes.
And you're going to read the question into the mic and then give us your answer.
Okay. I chose from the middle, which is never a good thing to do. But let's see. What would you do if you absolutely weren't afraid? I'd probably shit on the street. I love peeing outside. I remember being a kid and I got in trouble when I was like 3 or 4 because out at the farm you just pee outside. When I was camping or whatever, we just poop outside. I once pooped on a snake on accident. That's not a gay joke, but either way, there's something about shitting in nature that is like crinkling paper to me. I love that shit. It just makes me feel real and like a pilgrim, So yeah, if I wasn't afraid of people putting me in a van and throwing me in jail, I would shit outside.
It's funny you bring this up because a couple weeks ago I was walking the dog and we were deep into the woods. It would have been like if we turned around right now and walked quickly back to the house, at least 30 minutes. And all of a sudden I got that feeling where I was like, I have to shit.
It's time to go
right now. And I was like, I look around and I already sort of knew that no one else was around because for some reason my neighbors never go out there. They're like, oh, it's overgrown. I'm like, yeah, it's a fucking forest.
Right.
Like, just go.
Yeah.
Go be in nature. You
exactly.
fucking Twitter brain rot. Anyways, so I dropped my pants and I took a shit and there was something like very liberating about it. I was like, oh, that's sort of fun.
Right. Well, and doesn't it ever blow your mind that there's some people that have they've only ever shit on a porcelain toilet or in a diaper? Nobody's ever actually shit outside. It blows my mind. Like you go your entire life. If you go your entire life and don't do a thing, I'm like, that's crazy. You have so much time to do it. Maybe that doesn't make any sense, but like, I'm trying to think of a good example of like, imagine going your whole life and you just never
skydived.
You never. Well, that one's a little more niche, but like, I guess yeah. I mean, I never skydive. I have.
Have you been?
Never.
Would you?
When I was a kid, I said yes. I want to skydive right now. And as I get older, I just think, why would I jump out of a perfectly good airplane? And then I keep hearing people talk about how great of a thing and freeing a feeling it is. And I was like, I feel pretty good right now. I don't need to chase my demons. But yeah, dude, I think it's weird people don't shit outside. Just to go back to the original thing. Yeah, that's the message to get from this podcast. We're pro shitting outside, so yeah. But I'm glad you said you shit outside. Makes me feel better.
Thad does it all the time.
Yeah. I guess. Do you want to hear the shitting on the snake story real quick?
Yes.
I used to do this thing where on the weekends when I was in high school, or a little bit of middle school, I would go out to the woods about a mile behind my uncle's house where there's a little pond. I'd bring, pan. I'd bring a fishing pole, some matches, and, some seasoning every once in a while. And I would just live out there for 2 or 3 days, sleep under the stars. In Missouri, at night, is 75 degrees. It's not like here where it's 1,000 degrees. So you could definitely do it. And I went out into the woods and I was going to go take a crap. And I'm, halfway through pushing it out. And I turn around and I'm looking at this snake that's staring right at my shit that's hanging out of my ass. And it's looking at it like this. And I'm like, please, for the love of God, do not miss, snake. don't miss, because I'm about to get messy in here. And so basically, I was trying to think in my head. I go, okay, do I back away and the thing bites my heel, or do I shit on a snake? And before I could get that thought out, I shit. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had a thought and then realized, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, But that's exactly what happened. I told my dad about it. He goes, you didn't shit on a snake? I said, Dad, I shit on a snake. But yeah, that's the shit on a snake story. I've never told anybody that, so, other than Dad.
What do you know what kind of snake it was?
It wasn't poisonous. It had a little, do you know how to tell the difference?
On specific species, but not like in general.
So a spade head snake is poisonous. The slender, like smooth ones, those aren't poisonous.
Really?
Yeah, that's all snakes. If it's got like anacondas, I think might be the one thing that they have a spade head, but I don't think they're poisonous. There's a few exceptions, obviously, but yeah, this particular snake had a smooth head, and I was like, it's just gonna hurt. I'm not gonna die. And the crazy thing was that snake just slithered away. Like, it didn't even try to attack me. It was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't want any part of it.
I was going to try to find you. There's a snake outside right at the entrance to the woods a couple weeks ago, and I hate snakes.
I do too.
They scare me. That is what I'm afraid of. I don't know where this picture went. Maybe I deleted it, but it's gone. But that's good to know, because we do get a lot of snakes up here. I generally avoid all of them. I'm mainly getting Thad to avoid them because I don't want the snake to bite Thad, but I also don't want Thad to attack the snake because we're not trying to ruin anyone's day,
Yeah, I might be wrong on that, though, because this snake, the one you're talking about, right?
It was mostly like, I don't think it's any of these guys. I think it may have been the top one, the cat micro. That's a crazy name.
Might have been the top one. Well, either way, I thought that's got a smooth head, and it's saying that those are venomous. So I might be wrong on that case. That even the smooth ones are venomous.
How would you feel if you saw in the news? Does the news even exist anymore? That a local podcaster went to pet a snake that he saw on his walk because it had a smooth head, and then it bit him, and it was one of the most venomous snake species in Texas.
Yeah, I'd probably go to the podcast and comment, that Nick Hartley guy's an idiot. Probably what I'd
Use
do.
your girlfriend's account
Yeah,
or something.
Exactly. I would make a burner account, and then I would have to reply on my own account and be like, I'm so sorry. It's just me talking to myself back and forth. But, Nick, do you feel bad about it? Yes, I do. I do feel bad. Do you think that we should give you some grace? Maybe, No, we'll give you some grace. Hey, guys, I like this comment. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do any of that, but I hope you don't die from a snake. That would really suck.
I'm determined not to die that way.
Yeah.
A quick story about Isaac I'll tell you because you mentioned comments is after one of his episodes released, someone went and commented on it and said, "Isn't that the idiot who went on Killed Tony and told Tony to go fuck himself?"
Yeah, that's him.
And of course I responded. I was like, "Yep, you got you.
That's the guy.
That is the guy."
I was there the day that happened, and I was like, oh, Isaac, why would you do that? And he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And I was like, Isaac, come on. Like, I love Isaac so much. And then to see his redemption story of however long later to go on there, get that secret show and murder. And I was like, yes. So it's never over. Something's got to give.
Something's got to get. There is the takeaway for this episode.
Yeah.
It's not to go shit on the street and get arrested.
To each their own, I will say.
Yeah.
But
well, man, this was very fun. Just like all episodes, it went a bunch of different directions I wasn't expecting, and I got to know you, and I like you, and Dad likes you. He's still sleeping. That's what he does. He's a very tired animal. You ready to get out of here?
Ready to get out of here.
All right, man. It was so good to meet you. To everyone listening, stay healthy, stay happy. We'll see you next Saturday. Bye, everyone.